Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. Fujiwara just smiled and said as she raised her phone, I just followed the instructions Sakura-sensei gave me for the makeup. What kind of makeup is that? The kind that brings out the queen persona. Amazing. No wait. You're playing with fire. It's fine. Fujiwara grinned, but in the next second, Rinji was suddenly in front of her. Secretary Fujiwara. Why yes? Even the usually bold Fujiwara blushed with how close he was. Rinji gave a seductive smirk, gently pinched her chin, tilted her face up, and whispered in her ear. You seem to like playing games. I'll take my time with you after the show. Why yes. Fujiwara's face turned bright red. As said before, Fujiwara had no resistance to assertive guys. Though Rinji didn't even look like a guy right now. Chapter 331, Rest Assured. Look, the cheer squad is coming out. Kazano-senpai is so cute. Koyasu-senpai is amazing too. Wait, that girl is insanely pretty. The cheer squad stepped onto the field under the gaze of the whole school. Kazano and Tsubame, both extremely popular students, immediately drew attention. But when Rinji appeared in the girl's uniform, everyone was stunned. No one could believe how stunning he looked. People started wondering why they'd never seen this beautiful girl before. She exuded a captivating beauty with a hint of pride. That was the aura Rinji projected now. And he stood at the very front, as if leading the cheer squad. This was actually Kazano's decision. When he saw Rinji's breathtaking entrance, a bold idea struck him: let Rinji lead the performance. It was a big risk to change the formation at the last minute, but Kazano believed this might push the atmosphere to an all-time high. And just as he expected, the moment the crowd saw Rinji, the whole field went quiet. Then came an explosive cheer. Oh. Nice. George was clicking away furiously with a long-lens DSLR. Rinji's mother, meanwhile, watched with a thoughtful expression. Has he finally overcome it? I don't think so. Hayasaka replied. Rinji still seems to have issues with this kind of thing. Then why didn't he refuse? Probably because this is a group event. Over time, he's really become a part of this school. Hayasaka smiled. He knows what it means to endure. I see. Rinji's mother smiled as she looked at him standing proudly on the field. Then I'm relieved. On the field, Rinji stood with his eyes closed. Behind him stood Tsubame and Kazano, each leading half the squad. The moment the music started, Rinji's eyes shot open and his arms extended gracefully to both sides. The squad moved with him. Rinji's dance grew increasingly fluid with the music. Dressed in the black Shuchin girl's uniform, his elegant movements made him look like a black swan in flight. At the end of the music, Rinji raised both arms high, while the cheer squad members knelt in a semicircle behind him, heads bowed low. It was a scene fit for a queen's coronation. Whoosh! Thunderous applause erupted. And Rinji held his head high, basking in the worship of the crowd. 5 minutes later, Rinji, hang in there. Ugh. In the stands, Rinji curled up into a ball, hugging his knees. Garura sat beside him, patting his shoulder to comfort him. He was on the verge of mental breakdown. Normally, after performing in a dress in front of a crowd like that, Rinji would go into a rage, beating up half the field before sneaking off to smoke in some quiet corner. But this time, his mother was here. Which meant not only could he not beat people up, he couldn't even smoke. With no outlet for his frustration, he went straight into shutdown mode. Like this, huddled in a corner. Exactly, Rinji. From the front row, George turned and smiled. You heard the cheers. Everyone loved your performance. The original intent of this gender swap event was to bring a bit of fun to the sports festival. A boy in a skirt is inherently funny. But Rinji didn't provide laughs. He stole hearts and gained an entire fan base. Which only made it more frustrating. Rinji's mother turned and gently stroked his head. You gave a wonderful performance. Hearing his mother say that, Rinji finally lifted his head slightly. Really? Really? I'm so proud of you. Okay. Her comfort worked. In just a few words, Rinji began to come back to life. Uncle saw your performance too. Shiragane's father looked over and said cheerfully. Honestly, it was amazing. Please stop. Yo, Rinji. Just as Rinji tried to escape, Shiragane walked over, a red sash on his forehead, holding another out to Rinji. Time for the relay. Let's go. Okay. Rinji grabbed the sash and followed. Let's crush those damn white team bastards. No. It's just a race. Don't inject that kind of hatred into it. With no way to vent his fury by hitting people, thanks to his mother's presence, Rinji decided to take it out in the race. Still better than violence. Rinji's mother turned her gaze to the track again. Seeing Shiragane help Rinji tie the sash, she asked curiously, "Who's that boy?" "Shiragane's dad, that's my son." "I see. What a fine young man." She smiled. "Looks like Rinji really has made friends here. Your son is amazing too," Shiragane's dad said. "Polite, helpful, and outstanding. You should be proud." "Is that so? You really think highly of him?" Hearing another parent praise her son filled Rinji's mother with pride. As for the race, the result was obvious. With Rinji running the final leg, he dashed ahead to secure first place. The red team won. The athletes hugged, and on Rinji's face was a sincere, radiant smile. His mother could now say with certainty. Her son had truly become part of this school. With a contented smile, she stood up. Now, she could truly rest easy. Chapter 332, After the sports festival. It's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah. How have you been lately, Chidori? I don't go by Chidori anymore. I changed my surname after getting married. Sagra Kaname said with a smile. Just like how you changed yours after marrying that guy. Though according to his side's customs, you didn't really need to change it, right? I didn't have a surname to begin with. I didn't even have a name. Rinji's mother replied gently. He gave me my name, and the surname was borrowed. After getting married, I naturally took his surname. It was my own choice. I see. How's Rinji been here? Has he been giving you trouble? There's been a bit of trouble, sure. Sagra said as she rubbed her temple with a hopeless expression. But compared to the idiotic things our husbands used to do back in the day, this is nothing. I'm honestly not too bothered. Thanks for your hard work. No need to thank me. I still owe you both a lot from back then. She replied with a smile. Are you leaving now? Yeah. After seeing how Rinji's doing, I can finally rest easy. It's time for me to go back to his side. If you have time, drop by again. Especially that guy. Doesn't he care about his own son at all? He actually wanted to come this time, but I insisted on coming myself. Rinji's mother said with a chuckle. I just don't feel safe letting him go out alone. Haha, can't argue with that. But as long as Rinji's here, I'm sure he'll eventually come to see for himself. You're probably right. After the sports festival ended, the parents gradually left. Shiragane's father, although quite free, knew it was time for him to leave the school too. During the event, he chatted with a girl. Shinomiya Kaguya. And he had a feeling something might happen between her and his son. Well then, Miyuki, I'm heading out. He said. Okay, just go already. Shiragane replied. Next to him stood a blushing Kaguya. It was clear whatever Shiragane's dad had said had embarrassed her deeply. Seeing her red face, Shiragane really wanted to know what kind of nonsense his dad had said to her. After that, Fujiwara's father, Fujiwara Daiki, also left after saying goodbye to everyone. The entire Fujiwara family came to the event, including her mother, Fujiwara Macho, and her older sister Fujiwara Toyomi, who supposedly skipped her college classes to attend. Well then, Chika, big sis is heading off. Okay, take care. Toyomi had a voluptuous figure and wore somewhat revealing clothes, but her sleepy, dazed expression and cute face made for a strange contrast with her mature body. Oh right, next time can you introduce me to that boy? Huh? Who? That super cute boy in the cheer squad, the one in the dress who looked like a doll. Toyomi said with a grin. Oh, you mean Rinji? Chika's expression instantly turned hollow. Let's not. He's probably really mad at me for helping him with the makeup. That's a shame. Meanwhile, after finishing her chat with Sagra, Rinji's mother also left the school. Before she left, both Karura and Hayasaka accompanied her. Since Karura wasn't a student here, she just gave a quick goodbye before heading back to her own school. She had ditched class to see Rinji's performance after all. Once she was gone, only Hayasaka remained with Rinji's mother. It's time for me to go too. Andy, you're leaving already? Yes. I've seen Rinji, and that's enough. As she spoke, she pulled out her phone. Would it be alright to add you online? Eh? Of course, I'd be happy to. Hayasaka quickly pulled out her own phone and they exchanged contact info. After putting her phone away, Rinji's mother looked at Hayasaka and said softly, I feel relieved about Rinji right now, but who knows what the future holds. So, could I ask you to look after him? Oh, of course. Thank you. If you ever need anything, just contact me. I may not always get the message right away, though. She smiled. If I'm leaving him in your hands, then I really can relax. Her words made Hayasaka blush and look down. This was probably the day she'd blushed the most in her life. After the sports festival, the school custodians began cleaning the grounds. Meanwhile, the student council members were tasked with putting away the equipment used for the event. Fujiwara and Ishigami carried a few lighter items to the storage shed, stacking them inside. This sports festival was so much fun. Yeah, I haven't had this much fun in a long time. For Ishigami, who had always been distant from the student body, this was probably the most enjoyable festival he'd ever experienced. He used to be very withdrawn. During events like this, he'd just sit alone watching others sweat it out, quietly mocking them for wasting energy on something pointless. But after finally becoming part of the group, he understood what that joy really was. I hope the next event is just as fun. Of course. There's more coming after the sports festival, after all. Chika said cheerfully. Yeah. I hope the next one is just as great. Both of them felt deeply satisfied with today's event. As they basked in the afterglow, a pair of hands suddenly clamped down on their shoulders. In that instant, cold sweat drenched their foreheads. Ishigami, Fujiwara. Rinji said in an unsettlingly gentle voice, right by their ears. It's good to hear you two enjoyed yourselves. But now that the festival is over, it's time to settle the score. Someone has to take responsibility for making me do something that embarrassing. His voice was calm, but the pain in their shoulders told them they were doomed. Chapter 333, The Journalism Club Interview. Well then, thank you, Rinji-kun, for taking time out of your busy schedule to accept this interview from the Mass Media Club. Thanks for the invite. Sitting in the Mass Media Club's classroom, Rinji narrowed his eyes at the two girls in front of him. Ko's Erika and Kaino Karen, the Mass Media Club's twin powerhouses. They were known for quickly publishing reports on major events around campus, especially those involving the student council members Shirogane and Kaguya. Now that the sports festival had ended, they were at it again. You know, you could have interviewed students who actually placed in the events. Why me? But Rinji-kun won nearly every event he participated in. Karen said with a smile. You've become one of the hottest names in Shuchin Academy. Let's be real. That popularity is all negative. No way, it's all praise. Such as? You were voted most beautiful male student in the school. And? #1 most suitable for cross-dressing. Bang. Rinji slammed the desk, startling both girls. What the hell kind of bullshit titles are those? How is this better than before? At least back then, they feared me and treated me like a delinquent. Now what? I'm some kind of comedy mascot? And no. I think people really like you. One day. It's only been one day. Rinji held out the finger, veins bulging on his forehead. The festival ended just yesterday, and this morning, over 20 love letters fell out of my shoe locker. Huh? The two girls exchanged glances, then looked at Rinji. That's a good thing, right? They were from boys. Oh. Now they understood why Rinji was furious. I'm starting to suspect the guys in this school have some serious issues with their orientation. Rinji said, trying to calm himself. Or is it that Japanese high school boys are just that open nowadays? Well, technically. It's because their orientation is not in question. What? And no. I mean, that's too much. Seeing the cold glint in Rinji's eyes, the girls quickly changed their tone. Fine, whatever. Ask your questions already. I've got student council work after this. Right. The first question is from another student who submitted it. Karen took out a note with questions submitted for Rinji. Go ahead. First question, when will Rinji-kun cross-dress again? There won't be a next time. Second question, are you really a guy? I am. Though his face stayed composed, his twitching eyebrows made it clear. Rinji was on the brink of eruption. Third question, was it comfortable wearing a dress? No, it wasn't. And give me the names of whoever submitted these questions. I'm sending them all to meet their makers. What kind of trash questions are these? Why are they all obsessed with the cross-dressing? Do I have no other redeeming features besides that? Actually, it's like this. Erika explained. Because of your performance in the cheer squad, your popularity in Shuchin has skyrocketed. Right now, you're only behind President Shirogane and Vice President Kaguya. Unbelievable. Rinji hadn't expected that just one sports festival would drastically boost his popularity at school. The one's negative opinions about him were now turning positive. Of course, these positive opinions were kind of strange. He thought the students would forget about that trivial event after a day and that he could return to class as if nothing happened. However, when he entered the classroom, the entire class gave him a peculiar look. It wasn't the usual hatred or fear from before. "Please focus your interview on the sports festival, not my cross-dressing," Renji said helplessly. "Besides, I wasn't the only one. Every guy in the cheer squad wore skirts. Why are you targeting just me? That's not our intention. It's just that the students are really interested in you. We need to write what they want to read. TCH, in any case, I don't want to hear the word cross-dressing ever again." "Got it." Karen nodded and began flipping through a stack of prepared notes. Soon, sweat began to form on her forehead. It seemed most of the submitted questions were about Renji's cross-dressing. It was hard to find any that weren't. "Ah, found one. Go on. What does Takaman-san think of being called one of the most beautiful girls in Shuchen?" "I'm out." Renji stood up from his seat. Renji-kun, don't go. Can't your mass media club ask some normal questions for once?" It wasn't an exaggeration to say the mass media club interviews had driven up his blood pressure. On the day of the sports festival, after his mother left, Renji's suppressed frustration had burst out. He ended up tying up Fujiwara and Ishigami, the main culprits, behind the gym warehouse until nightfall. If that ever became gossip among the students, honestly, he couldn't guarantee he wouldn't blow up the whole school. "I was tricked by Ishigami. I should never have joined that stupid cheer squad event." "But your performance was amazing," Karen said. "A lot of our mass media club members have become your fans. The fewer of that kind of fan, the better." Renji rubbed his head and looked at the two girls in front of him. "In short, I don't want any more cheer squad or cross-dressing content in the articles about me. But without those, the student council won't be interested. If you don't want to spend the rest of your lives in Africa, then stop messing around." Renji's gaze sharpened. "It's dangerous, understand?" "Yes." The two girls, overwhelmed by Renji's pressure, quickly nodded in agreement. Chapter 334, Mixer Hayasaka, how did the chat with Renji-kun's mom go? "Well, I got her line, at least." "Oh? That's quite a bit of progress. So the next step is—" "It won't be that easy, Kaguya-sama." Behind the classroom door, Kaguya Shinomiya and Hayasaka were whispering. Most students had already left after class, so Hayasaka had dropped her usual Gyaro persona and returned to her expressionless maid mode. "Andy gave me her line because she wants me to keep an eye on Renji at school and stop him when he's about to do something stupid. Nothing more. You never know. That could also be a sign of trust," Kaguya said with a smile. If only it were that simple. Even Hayasaka herself didn't fully understand why Renji's mother had said those things. She could at least confirm it was a kind of trust. But whether it meant she wanted Renji and her to be together, that was unclear. After all, his mom also seemed fond of Karura, and Karura was currently Renji's girlfriend. Seeing Hayasaka sigh, Kaguya felt relieved she didn't have to deal with that situation. At least Shirogane was still single. If he ever got a girlfriend, Kaguya didn't think she could keep her cool like Hayasaka. "Yeah, thank goodness the president isn't interested in other girls. That way my plans can." "Hey, Shirogane." At the classroom door, two male students called out to Shirogane as he passed by. "You don't have student council work today, right? And no part-time job either. Want to come sing karaoke with us tonight?" "Karaoke? To be honest, I'm not good at singing." "Don't worry about that." One of the boys slung an arm over Shirogane's shoulder. "It doesn't matter if you can't sing. That's not really the point." "Huh? There's a mixer for high schoolers happening over there," the boy said with a grin. "Honestly, we're too nervous to go alone." "Well, since you asked." "Sure." "Oh." The two guys cheered the moment Shirogane agreed. "Then let's meet after school at 4, in front of the karaoke place near the station?" "Sounds good." After finalizing the plans, they left the hallway. "Hayasaka." "Kaguya." "Hayasaka." "Kaguya-sama, you sure about this?" "What's the issue?" Kaguya smiled. "It's perfectly normal for the president to hang out with friends once in a while. But this is a mixer. As student council president, it's perfectly reasonable to build connections with students from other schools." Kaguya remained composed. "I'm not the kind of woman who restricts the president. Let me be direct. That's definitely a mixer. We have to stop him." Kaguya immediately changed her stance. "A mixer means a boy and a girl from different schools pair up and do indecent things, right?" she asked in a panic. "It's hard to explain, but basically yes." "Then we absolutely must pull the president out of there." Clearly, Kaguya lacked basic knowledge in this area. As soon as she heard the word mixer, her mind was flooded with censored imagery of a man and woman. You just said you're not the type to restrict him, Hayasaka said flatly. So are you going in person? You're going to throw me into a place full of male lust? How cruel. Kaguya snapped out of her panic and replied with distress. Besides, I can't go to that kind of place. If my family finds out, I'll definitely be disowned. That's true. The Shinomiya household had strict rules. As the eldest daughter, Kaguya was absolutely forbidden from attending mixers. It would be considered a disgrace. Wait, I don't have to go myself. Kaguya suddenly looked at Hayasaka with a sly grin. Hayasaka, you're throwing me into a place full of male lust? How cruel. No. I just want you to pull the president out of there. Knock him out and drag him away if you have to. Kaguya smiled. Besides, you're a lot more free than I am. That was true. While Hayasaka had been raised as Kaguya's personal maid from a young age, she wasn't bound by the same rules. At least she could do what normal high schoolers did. Though the workload was far from normal. Kaguya-sama, your possessiveness is stronger than I imagined. Just then, Hayasaka's eyes narrowed. She grabbed Kaguya and pulled her to a corner. Hayasaka, you. SHH. Hayasaka pressed a finger to her lips to signal silence. Outside the classroom, Rinji walked up. Just as he was walking down the hallway, a figure suddenly rushed up behind him and hugged his head. Takuman-san, the cheer squad performance was a huge success. Don't bring that up again. Rinji shoved the person away and turned to see who it was. It was Koyasu Tsubaime, the cheerful upperclassman from the cheer squad. Sorry. I didn't think you'd take it that seriously. Tsubaime said apologetically with hands together. But to celebrate the successful event, the captain invited everyone to karaoke. Want to come? A celebration party? You could say that. Well, I don't have anything planned after school, so sure? Great. Tsubaime beamed and set a time with Rinji. Meet at 4 o'clock in front of the karaoke place by the station. Got it. By the way, is Ishigami going too? Of course. He's part of the cheer squad too. Make him crawl there. After Rinji and Tsubaime left the hallway, Hayasaka and Kaguya stepped out from their hiding spot. Hayasaka. Kaguya. So, what are you going to do? Hayasaka, I'll go find a change of clothes. It won't be good if I get recognized. I see. So you are worried about Rinji-kun after all? Kaguya teased. Yeah, so I'll just go keep an eye on Rinji. You can handle the president yourself, Kaguya-sama. Come on, help me out just this once. Chapter 335, this song's pretty popular huh? President, you're here? Rinji, you're here too? 4:00 p.m. after school. Rinji and Shirogane bumped into each other in front of the karaoke place by the station. Behind each of them stood a different group. Behind Shirogane were two classmates and a mix of male and female high schoolers in casual clothes. Behind Rinji were students in Shuchin's black uniforms. Members of the cheer squad from the sports festival. I was invited to a mixer. A mixer, huh? Pretty much. I'm here for the cheer squad celebration party. Rinji said. He glanced at the group behind Shirogane and asked quietly, Shinomiya's not here? You know her family situation. There's no way she'd show up to something like this. No, I mean. You came to a mixer knowing she wouldn't be here? Aren't you trying to get with her? Can you maybe phrase that more delicately? Shirogane responded in a low voice, I just came because my classmates invited me. It's not like I'm here to hit on girls. I get that. But the real question is, what if Shinomiya see it? Well, I doubt she knows I'm here. Really? Rinji looked over at the group of girls behind Shirogane. One girl stood out, long blonde hair, bright blue eyes, a casual outfit with a simple necklace, and a cute face that easily drew male attention. This was a mixer, after all. No surprise there were people here with less than pure intentions. But what caught Rinji's eye wasn't her looks. It was the fact that he recognized her. That was Hayasaka. She'd just put on some makeup and patted her chest. Knowing her, she wouldn't show up to a mixer on her own. She was probably sent here by Kaguya. Not even officially dating yet, and Shinomiya is already setting up anti-cheating countermeasures. She might be a bit messed up. Anyway, President, try not to do anything that'll piss off Shinomiya. It'll hurt your approval rating. I told you, I won't. Rinji nodded and glanced again at the disguised Hayasaka. She noticed his gaze and quickly looked away, pretending not to know him. Takuman-san, finished talking to the president? Yeah, we're good. Hearing Tsubaime calling him, Rinji said goodbye to Shirogane and rejoined the cheer squad group. The two groups entered the karaoke venue separately. "What's wrong, Renji?" Ishigami asked as they sat in the booth, watching Renji stare blankly at the song selection machine. "First time at a place like this?" "Pretty much. Never been to karaoke before. Don't know how to pick songs?" "I can pick them." "Then what's the issue?" "You're not tone deaf or anything." Ishigami thought for a moment, then added, "You're struggling with which song to choose, huh?" "More or less." Renji replied. "I get it. Song choice really matters in this kind of setting. Especially at student gatherings with people you're not super close to, song selection at karaoke becomes a strategic decision. You can't go for really old songs. That'll make you look out of touch. But you also can't choose super hard songs. You'll bomb and embarrass yourself. And for the love of God, never pick anime songs. Whoever does will suffer." In Japan, being an otaku doesn't have a great image. Even Ishigami, the classic anime-watching, light novel-reading nerd, knew to hide his hobbies. Like putting fake covers on his books. Renji, on the other hand, didn't care. If the situation allowed, he'd openly read erotic books in public without even hiding the covers. So it wasn't that he didn't know how to pick safe songs. He was debating which of his favorites he should go with. If you're really stuck, just grab something from this month's Oricon rankings. "Nah, I've decided." Got to say, this karaoke place has a pretty solid catalog. Just don't do anything crazy. Relax. This song's actually pretty popular. Okay then. Following the cue, students started singing one by one. The cheer squad captain picked a trendy pop song by a famous idol. He wasn't a great singer, but he still got applause. Tsubame sang a sweet ballad, and her voice was lovely. She got high praise all around. Then it was Ishigami's turn. Though he really wanted to sing an anime theme song he was good at, he didn't want to ruin his school rep, so he picked something safe. He sang decently enough, and everyone clapped politely. Next up was Onodera. She had solid technique and chose a current hit among girls. As a textbook JK, Japanese high school girl, she had a much better grasp of trends than Ishigami and Renji, who were borderline shut-ins. After finishing her song, she handed the mic to Renji. "Your turn, Takuman-san." "TCH. Hey, I know you're still salty about me tricking you into cross-dressing, but I didn't think you'd actually fall for it," Onodera said with a laugh. "Besides, everything turned out fine, didn't it? I'll remember this." Renji snatched the mic and brought it to his mouth. "Ooh. Takuman-san's about to sing? Can't wait." His popularity within the cheer squad was pretty high now, and everyone was curious what kind of song this foreign student would choose. Suddenly, the karaoke screen turned red and started playing a black and white video. While everyone was trying to guess the song, Renji began singing. Ishigami. "So that's the kind of popular song you meant? And your Russian pronunciation is way too on point." Chapter 336, Still Too Late. Renji sang passionately into the mic, while the rest of the students fell completely silent. They couldn't understand a word he was saying, but his pronunciation was perfect. His singing was practically professional, and he captured the grandeur of the song flawlessly. Ishigami face-palmed. Of course Renji wouldn't pick a normal song. This was the guy who sang the Internationale instead of the school anthem. He had zero sense of social conformity. Ishigami couldn't help but wonder what kind of environment Renji grew up in to turn out so eccentric. The 3-minute song, The Sacred War, ended. Renji handed the mic to the next student. "You're up." Oh. That was amazing, Takuman-san," Tsubame said with a smile, finally snapping out of it. "Thanks for the compliment." "Hey, Renji," Ishigami whispered from beside him. "Could you please sing something normal next time? I thought this was very normal." "Normal where?" "Whatever, I guess I'm getting used to your personality." Ishigami chuckled. "By the way, when did you learn Russian?" "Huh? I don't speak Russian." "Then how do you sing it so perfectly?" "I just memorized the Ramaji lyrics. It's pretty easy." "So this is what genius looks like, huh?" As other students took their turns, everyone clapped along while waiting for the mic to come back around. When someone else was singing, Renji suddenly stood up. "You guys keep singing. I'm going out for a drink." "Huh? You can just use the room phone and have staff bring drinks in," Tsubame reminded him. "No need. I just want to get some air." Renji opened the door and stepped out. He booked a private booth, lit a cigarette, and lounged on the sofa. A glass of vodka sat on the table. It had been almost a year since he enrolled here, and he was slowly getting used to school life. A peaceful life was definitely tempting. In less than a year, he was already beginning to get addicted to it. Despite having spent 4 years on the battlefield. Even now, though, he hadn't fully adapted to this pace. Those 4 years weren't the only time he'd lived immersed in killing. He took a sip of vodka and leaned back on the couch, then called toward the door, "You can stop lurking. Come in." The door opened slightly, and Hayasaka peeked her head in. Sorry, I saw you drinking alone in here, so I got curious and peeked in through the door," Hayasaka said timidly. "Sorry for disturbing you." "What are you talking about, Hayasaka? Eh? You really thought that disguise would fool me? So you saw through it after all?" Realizing her cover was blown, Hayasaka dropped the act and stepped fully into the room, her usual personality returning. Her eyes narrowed slightly when she saw the vodka and cigarette on the table. "You really can let yourself go wherever you are, huh? Even though I've been in Japan for a while, I still stick to my old habits." Rinji replied with a grin. "You're aware the legal drinking age in Japan is 20, right?" "Sure, but Japanese girls can marry at 16, so I've never taken local laws too seriously." Rinji shrugged. "Besides, I bought this vodka fair and square at the counter. How did you even manage that?" When Hayasaka asked, Rinji pulled a card from his pocket. It was a New York State driver's license with Rinji's photo and a birth date showing he was already 21. The name on the license read Chaos. Read Chaos? That's my English name. I use this identity when I'm operating abroad," Rinji said, taking the license back. "But I'd advise against looking into this identity. Right now, both the NIPT and FBI have me on their wanted lists." Rinji's true background remained mysterious. Even those close to him at Shuchen like Shirogane and Ishigami could only piece things together from fragments. "Does your mom know you smoke?" "Of course not. But she's not here. I have your mom's line." Rinji's expression finally changed. "Hayasaka, you're not seriously going to tell my mom about this, right? You wouldn't be that cruel, would you? Relax, I'll let it slide this time." She smiled and sat naturally beside Rinji on the sofa. "I'll keep it a secret." "Thanks, that's a huge favor." While they spoke, Hayasaka picked up the mic on the table. "I didn't feel comfortable at that mixer, so I snuck out. Feels rare that it's just the two of us." "Yeah, it really is." Despite both being students at Shuchen, they rarely spent time alone. "Wanna sing? I'd love to hear you." "If you wanna hear it, I'll sing." Rinji browsed the karaoke machine. "But are you sure? You being here is probably under Shinomiya's orders, right?" "Yeah. Kaguya-sama asked me to distract the president and get him out of there. I didn't really want to come. But once I found out you were coming, I decided to drop by and help her out while I was at it." "Is that so?" "I'm honored." Rinji smiled. "So, did you already take care of the president?" "Not yet. I left just as it was his turn to sing." Rinji's expression immediately sharpened. Without another word, he bolted to the door. "What is it?" "To the president." He called back at the confused Hayasaka. "If we're late, it'll be too late." The two of them ran to the room where Shirogane was attending the mixer and burst through the door. "President. You." The moment the door swung open, an ear-splitting sound hit their ears. Shirogane was holding the mic, singing wildly. On the floor lay a row of students foaming at the mouth, completely passed out. "We were too late?" Chapter 337, "I'll go to hell with you anyway, let's deal with this for now." Rinji picked up the unconscious students one by one, laying them on the couch and placing cold wet towels on their foreheads. He was well aware of the destructive power of Shirogane's singing. Even he wasn't sure he could stay conscious if exposed to it directly. After checking their breathing and confirming it was stable, he was confident they'd wake up soon. I'm really sorry." "It's fine. They're only mentally traumatized, no need for a hospital," Rinji reassured, patting Shirogane on the shoulder. "It's getting late anyway. Looks like they'll come around soon, so you can leave now." "Are you sure they'll be okay?" "Yeah, trust me." It turned out that the students who passed out were all from other schools. The two Shuchen boys who invited Shirogane had been in the restroom and escaped the disaster. Meaning, the horror of Shirogane's singing wouldn't spread within Shuchen. Shirogane insisted on staying until they woke up. So Rinji, after bidding farewell to the cheer squad, left the karaoke venue with Hayasaka. Outside, Hayasaka immediately called Kaguya. "Kaguya-sama, the president has successfully left the mixer." "Yes, he didn't do anything inappropriate with any girls. There was a small incident, but he should be heading home soon." After the call, she turned to Rinji. "Well, mission complete. You really work hard, huh? On top of your maid duties, you're also handling the troublesome rich girl's personal problems." Rinji smiled. Hayasaka already had a packed schedule. Adding in the petty troubles from Kaguya made her life even more hectic. "That's part of the job. Besides, I grew up with Kaguya-sama. Her happiness matters to me, too." While she spoke, She tied her hair into her usual single ponytail. Her happiness, huh? But have you thought about your own? I've given it some thought. Hayasaka looked straight into Rinji's eyes. Recalling that summer when she kissed him, Rinji averted his gaze. Hey. Why did you kiss me back then? It was for my own happiness. Hayasaka smiled. Because I love you. You know I have a girlfriend, right? I know. And I'm sure Karura knows about the kiss too. She does. After the kiss, Rinji told Karura everything. Her reaction wasn't anger. She kissed him too, as if not wanting to lose. Sometimes, Rinji really felt Karura lacked a proper moral compass. She didn't seem to mind. That's because she and I aren't normal people. But you, Hayasaka, you're normal. You live a peaceful life. Rinji said. You should know, I'm someone with blood-stained hands. An evil man. I know. Yeah. Rinji sighed. Not everyone can accept that evil. You say you can, but that's because you've never seen who I used to be. I don't care who you used to be. I only care about who you are now. Hayasaka looked toward the karaoke place behind Rinji. Since coming to this school, you've changed a lot. Even if you end up going back to that path someday. She moved closer, standing on tiptoe and gently cupping his cheeks with her hands. Even if you go to hell, I'll go with you. Rinji froze in place as Hayasaka's face drew near. Their lips were about to meet. Yo, Rinji. Everything's taken care of. Shirogane stepped out of the karaoke room, just in time to ruin the moment. Was someone with you just now? Noticing Rinji standing motionless, Shirogane looked around. But aside from a few distant pedestrians, no one else was there. I'm good. You done in there? Yeah, they woke up. Shirogane looked relieved. Thank God. And looks like they've already forgotten what happened before they passed out. Great. Your awful singing shall remain buried in darkness. Damn it. I thought since I could sing the school anthem fine, the rest would be okay. Shirogane sighed. Looks like I'll be stuck with this for life. Everyone has their weak spots. It's normal. Whatever. Let's head home. By the way, how do you usually get back? Even though they lived in the same neighborhood, Shirogane and Rinji had never gone home together. I take a taxi. That's expensive. You got a better idea? I usually bike, but today I took the train. The station's nearby, let's ride back together. Train. How does that work again? Rich people really are out of touch with basic life skills. Shirogane grabbed Rinji and pulled him toward the station. Not far behind, from a blind spot outside the karaoke place, Hayasaka peeked around the corner. Watching Rinji get dragged off by Shirogane, a smile rose on her lips. Looks like chasing my own happiness won't be easy. Maybe this is the punishment for being too selfish back then. If only I had trusted you more then. Maybe things would have turned out differently. Chapter 338, President, are you still planning to run away? Hold on to your ticket, don't lose it. If you can't find it after arriving, you'll have to buy another one. Okay. Rinji looked at the 190 yen ticket, around $1.30, in his hand and nodded. It was his first time riding public transportation like a train. Since it was the time when office workers were getting off their night shifts, the train was packed. Even though Rinji and Shirogane were sitting in the corner seats, they still felt the squeeze and stuffiness. To be honest, I'm not really used to this kind of transportation. Rinji, I think your way of handling things is generally flawless, but you seem to lack a sense of frugality. Shirogane said. Frugality is a virtue. Don't spend money on meaningless things. If you can ride the train, don't think about taking a taxi. You know how expensive Tokyo's taxis are. No. But have you considered the possibility that the railway might get bombed? Huh? Cutting off enemy logistics means transportation hubs are priority bombing targets. I have no idea what you're talking about. And this isn't a battlefield. Also, taxis are expensive. They're not too bad. I really don't understand you rich people. Wastefulness is shameful. No, President. Rinji immediately retorted. It's not like I was born into a wealthy family. I also experienced the time before my old man made it big. Huh? Shirogane was a bit surprised. He had assumed Rinji was the kind who lived a life of luxury from birth, but it turned out he'd also experienced hardship. You really know what it's like to grow up in a poor household? Yeah. Shirogane felt a bit of admiration for Rinji. No wonder he could live alone in Japan and master so many different skills. It seemed he developed independence early on because of his environment. When I was young, we couldn't just use private jets to go anywhere. Back then, my old man didn't have much money. We could only go out in Rolls Royces or stretch Lincolns. Huh? Things like the AMX-56 Leclerc, Apache helicopters, and fifth-generation jets. I couldn't even imagine those back then. It really was a tough time. Rinji said with a laugh. Thinking back, I've always lived quite frugally. I don't even know where to start complaining. If you want some inspiring rags to riches stories, I can tell you how my dad made his fortune. Oh, your father? Yeah, he was born into an ordinary family, they say. My grandma was a lawyer, and grandpa was a doctor. They lived in Manhattan, New York. That doesn't sound like a poor household at all. Then my dad built his empire from scratch. Impressive. From nothing, huh? Using $5 million from who knows where. I'm done talking to you. Shire again felt a massive generational gap between himself and Rinji. Let's not talk about boring stuff. President, have you thought about that thing I mentioned before? What thing? That company I recently set up. I asked you to get some practice there. You mean the part about me becoming the chairman? Miyuki looked down. Stop joking. I'm just an ordinary high school student. How could I possibly take on a chairman role? But haven't you been a bank president before? Just consider it more practice. You want me to use your company? Something you spent so much money building. As a training ground? What if I mess it up? That'd be a huge loss for you. Don't worry about losses on my end. It's just a minor financial hit. Rinji said. What matters is that you should take this opportunity to get familiar. It's a kind of learning too. Letting a high school student become chairman just to learn something? What else can I do? You really are bold. Shire again couldn't help but cover his face. Sometimes he truly couldn't understand how Rinji's mind worked. But this is your company. Are you sure it's okay to hand it to me? No problem. It's just a place for you to practice. Rinji said with a smile, then lowered his head slightly. Besides, strictly speaking, it's not really my company. Huh? A few years ago, I partnered with a good friend to start a business. But midway through, we were screwed over by some dirty tricks, and all our efforts went up in smoke. He couldn't take the blow and chose to end his life. Rinji said. He founded the company, and I was the investor. I planned to restart the company in his memory. Once it's stable, I'll transfer ownership to his children. Until then, President, use it for practice. It really sounds like you've had quite the life. More or less. Compared to the daily school routine, it was definitely more intense. But I think life now is pretty good too. Chatting with the student council every day is fun and relaxing. Rinji said with a smile. As long as you're happy. So, President, what's your decision? Can I ask something first? Shire again suddenly asked. What is it? This is another trial, right? Like when you made me president of the Dainapon Bank. What happens if I run away from this one? Let me put it this way, President. Rinji turned and looked at Shire again. Your goal is still to win over Shinomiya, correct? Correct. Since I promised to help, I'll give it my all. Otherwise, I'd be betraying my principles. Rinji said. The Shinomiya family is vast and deeply rooted. To pursue Shinomiya and have a future with her, you must have formidable personal strength. Yes. If you choose to run away now, then there's only one way I can think of to help you. Rinji spoke calmly. That's to destroy the Shinomiya family entirely as fast as possible, ignoring the societal fallout, and level the gap between you and Shinomiya. Well, now, President. Are you still planning to run away? As the train neared the station, Rinji posed his question. Chapter 339, Stirring the Fire. Not bad, President. That's a really good start. I feel like the pressure on me just increased again. In the student council office, Shire again sat at the desk reading books on business and management, already feeling overwhelmed. Don't stress too much. You'd have to learn this sooner or later anyway. After Rinji's persuasion, Shire again agreed to intern at his company. Before heading over, he was brushing up on some fundamentals to avoid crashing and burning later. How many people are in your company right now? Fewer than 100. How much movable capital do you have? 1.3057 trillion yen. That's the usable funds, excluding a high-rise office building, 3 factories, and several patent licenses. President, do you think that's not enough for you to go wild? I'm terrified. Shire again grabbed his head in despair. How do you have such a massive operation and fewer than 100 employees? And why do I have to be the chairman of this company? Wouldn't a small workshop be enough for training? A small workshop wouldn't suit your status. What status? I'm just a poor scholarship student who transferred into Shuchen. No, you're the student who served as the Dainapon Bank's president, twice elected student council president, and who defeated the Hyaku Academy student council president to become the next one. All while being a poor student at Shuchen. Suddenly, I feel like I have too many titles. Wait a second. Shirogane jolted. When did I become Hyaku Academy Student Council President? A few days ago. Huh? Remember the chips that Kairari Momobami gave you? And the ones I gave you? Yeah, but weren't those just toys? Of course not. Those were actual votes used for the Hyaku Academy Student Council election. Rinji explained. Since you got over half the votes and never returned there, a few days ago their election concluded, and they announced you as the new Student Council President. We need to return those votes right now. Panicking, Shirogane opened a drawer and pulled out a whole bag of chips. President, once the election ended, those votes became worthless. Even if you return them, it's useless. Huh? Then You're now the dual Student Council President of Shuchin Academy and Hyaku Academy. Rinji said. You can also freely command the Momobami clan. Oh, and these are things Kairari asked someone to pass along to you. Rinji, can I ask something? Shirogane's face was filled with terror as he sweat and forced a smile. What exactly does the 100 devouring families do? Not much. Pretty useless. Oh. They hold massive influence over Japan's financial world. About on par with the Shinomiya family. Why are you only telling me this now? A small matter. This is not a small matter. Relax, President. This is your publicly known trump card. I really didn't expect to have turned into a big shot already. Shirogane slammed his forehead onto the desk with a thud. Are you unhappy being a big shot now? How should I put it? It's complicated. Shirogane said weakly. Thinking about it, aside from grades and being student council president, every other achievement I have now was given to me by you. No, becoming the president of Hyaku Academy's student council was your own achievement. I don't know what you and Kairari gambled on, but the fact is you won. That's yours. All in all, you've come this far, so you should at least have some confidence in yourself. Rinji said with a smile. I told you before, didn't I? It's not that you're unworthy of Kaguya Shinomiya. Fine, I'll give myself some motivation. Shirogane ruffled his hair. His eyes sharpened once again as he resumed his studies. While he was reading, Rinji lounged on the couch playing on his phone. The student council room fell silent. Until the sound of the door opening broke it. Kaguya walked in, followed by a short-haired girl Rinji had seen before. It was Nagisa Kashiwagi, girlfriend of Tsubasa Tanuma. Huh? President, Rinji-kun, are you the only ones here? Yeah. Rinji glanced up at the two of them. Here for a consultation? Yes. Kashiwagi-san said she had something to consult about, so. Kaguya trailed off mid-sentence, just in time to see Shirogane seated at the desk, completely engrossed in a book on business management. Why is the president suddenly studying business management? Rinji, because he's about to manage a large corporation. EHH? Kaguya stared at Shirogane in disbelief, but he seemed too absorbed to notice. The president's going to a large corporation? Yeah. As an executive? As the chairman. Kaguya was stunned into silence, then turned with a blank stare toward Rinji. Don't tell me you arranged that too? Yep. Do you seriously think the president can manage a company? He can try. It's about the experience. Kaguya had noticed that ever since Rinji arrived at this school, Shirogane's status seemed to rise with him. Spending the summer as the head of the Dana Bank had already been outrageous. Now he was becoming a corporate chairman. Judging from Rinji's scale, it clearly wasn't a small company either. And with Shirogane's growing status, Kaguya's sense of crisis deepened. As a successful man, he'd inevitably meet more excellent women. What if he started looking elsewhere? Rinji-kun. Have I ever done anything to offend you? What do you think? I don't think you should confuse me with the main Shinomiya family. Didn't you say during the sports festival that you saw me as an ally? I did. So I haven't done anything to wrong you. Then. Don't you think making the president a corporate chairman is a bit too? How is that wronging you? You just can't stand seeing the president doing better, can you? That's not what I meant. Kaguya was dying inside. Rinji had now become an expert at stirring things up. Chapter 340, Is it cheating? Kashiwagi-san, was there something you wanted to ask? Everyone sat around the sofa. Kaguya smoothly redirected the topic to Nagisa Kashiwagi. She knew there were certain things she couldn't ask in front of Shirogane. Rinji would definitely hijack the conversation. Right. What kind of issue are you here to consult about? Rinji also played his part as a student council member. Though he was technically the treasurer, when students came for consultations, he had to be present too. It's about a relationship issue. TCH, why is it always relationship issues? Rinji said with a sour face. Can't any of you bring a different kind of problem? But aren't love issues the biggest concerns for high schoolers? Kashiwagi replied. You've got the wrong idea about high schoolers. Their job is to study, study, and study. If you have time to date, go solve a few more problems. That'd make high school life too dull. Just hang in there until college. What if you can't get into one? No way. Kaguya interjected. Shuchen Academy is a unified school system. After senior year, students can directly progress to Shuchen University. Kashiwagi, and I'm doing pretty well academically. 4th in the grade. There's no chance I won't get into college. Even if someone flunked out, most Shuchen students came from elite families and could just take over the family business. Fine. What's your question? As soon as Rinji asked, Kashiwagi's eyes turned teary. My boyfriend cheated on me. Kaguya and Rinji both fell silent. This was probably the most intense case they'd encountered. Rinji had only just found a girlfriend. Kaguya hadn't even dated yet. Meanwhile, this girl was already dealing with infidelity. Honestly, it was hard to deal with. Rinji picked up his phone and stood up, clearly intending to leave. Shinomiya, I'll leave this one to you. Hey. Are you seriously trying to dump this all on me? You're the vice president. You should be great at handling this. You only remember I'm the vice president at times like this. Kaguya sighed and turned to Kashiwagi. So, what exactly are you unsure about, Kashiwagi-san? This is my first time encountering something like this, so I'm hesitating. Kashiwagi said, her expression conflicted. What are you hesitating about? Whether to break up? Whether to get rid of him or her? Eh? Kaguya jumped. The emptiness in Kashiwagi's eyes didn't look like she was joking. Oh, cleaning up people, huh? I'm pretty experienced in that. Rinji had just walked out and now returned to the couch, smiling brightly. This is the worst time for you to reappear. Calm down, Kaguya. Let's hear Kashiwagi out. Rinji grinned. So Kashiwagi, how do you want it done? Clean and dignified, or messy and casual? Your focus is completely off. Seeing Rinji take interest made Kaguya genuinely worried things were going to spiral out of control. Kashiwagi slowly looked up. Her lifeless eyes stared at Kaguya and Rinji. This is the first time I've suffered this kind of emotional trauma. I can't just let them off. Kaguya, that's kind of extreme. I think. Rinji, sounds good to me. Were you even listening? This is a serious emotional injury. Kashiwagi said. Shinomiya-san, you've probably never experienced this kind of betrayal, right? Exactly. Shinomiya doesn't understand others' pain. Can't you try empathizing? Rinji chimed in. Rinji-kun, you're the last person qualified to say that. Rinji turned to Kashiwagi. Let me be honest, in situations like this, it's best to start thinking about your boyfriend's funeral arrangements. There you go again. Are you seriously wishing death on Tanuma? After yelling, Kaguya sighed and looked at Kashiwagi with a hopeless expression. So, what made you think your boyfriend cheated? I think he's cheating because I saw him happily chatting with another girl after class. Kashiwagi shouted with her eyes shut. Kaguya. That's it? That alone is enough to judge, right? I mean, it's just talking. Kaguya replied awkwardly. She was starting to think Kashiwagi's jealousy and possessiveness were on another level. Then Kashiwagi looked toward Rinji. What do you think, Rinji-kun? I'll be fair. This kind of situation? No question, it's cheating. Eh? Rinji's answer made Kaguya feel like the entire world had gone insane. I knew it. You think so too? Of course. Start preparing the funeral. And don't worry about choosing who to get rid of. Just get rid of both. Rinji even made a slicing motion across his neck with his finger. Kaguya. She realized she shouldn't have brought Kashiwagi Nagiza here while Rinji was around. Hold on, Rinji-kun, I think your logic has some flaws. Kaguya rubbed her temple, clearly getting a headache. Don't you talk to girls at school? I'm talking to you right now, aren't I? Then do you consider yourself cheating? Of course not. Try switching perspectives. What if your girlfriend saw you chatting with me and assumed you were cheating? How would that feel? Kaguya asked. Garura would never think that. I'm saying hypothetically. You make it sound like she care. She doesn't even get upset when other girls sleep next to me or kiss me. Just chatting with a girl and calling that cheating? That's impossible. Rinji shrugged. Garura doesn't even have the concept of cheating in her head. Honestly, that's my biggest problem right now. Kashiwagi, hearing Rinji's words, finally snapped out of her gloom and timidly raised her hand. You got kissed by another girl even though you already have a girlfriend? Yeah, to protect her reputation, I won't say who it was. Kaguya thought, that must have been Hayasaka. She told me about that. But judging by her personality, she wouldn't do that on her own. Someone must have pushed her into it. Rinji narrowed his eyes. They'd better hope I don't find out who, or I'll cut them up. Kaguya shivered instinctively. Chapter 341, It's persecution season again. Honestly, when she first heard about Danuma talking happily with another girl, Kaguya instinctively thought that was cheating. Because she tried imagining if she ever saw Shirogane chatting cheerfully with another girl. She would definitely feel awful. Of course, she brushed the thought aside right away. After all, Shirogane was still sitting in the student council room studying. If she openly expressed that chatting with a girl counts as cheating, he might think she was overly jealous. Which was kind of true. She even felt jealous over Rinji. Her jealousy had long since stopped caring about gender. But that wasn't the issue right now. Kaguya looked at Rinji. She could see it. He wasn't here to help resolve Kashiwagi's issue. He just wanted to send Danuma to Africa. Kashiwagi-san, if you trust me, I'll handle this. I'll send your boyfriend to Africa, and as for the girl he cheated with, she can go to India. You're making all the decisions without even talking to them. This is called act first, explain later. You're going too far. Do you really want to send him to Africa that badly? That jerk's always flaunting his relationship in the student council room and talking trash about me. Sparing his life is already generous. He should at least contribute to Africa's development. You just said the quiet part out loud. Kaguya ignored Rinji and asked Kashiwagi, so, aside from chatting with another girl, what else happened with your boyfriend? They went to karaoke together. Kashiwagi said. Kaguya stiffened. She remembered Shirogane had also gone to karaoke yesterday. That probably doesn't count as cheating, right? Kashiwagi. From Kaguya's reaction, she guessed Shirogane had gone to karaoke too. And? They studied together. Kashiwagi said gloomily. I used to be the one who helped him with schoolwork. Now suddenly a girl who's better than me shows up and I'm cast aside? Rinji, it's just studying together. Rinji-senpai, do you think studying with another girl isn't cheating? It is. I recommend sending him to Africa. Kaguya. Do you even believe what you're saying anymore? Shinomiya, when have I ever had a conscience? You sound proud of that. From what Kashiwagi said, Rinji began to piece things together. She'd mentioned the girl's grades were better than hers. Since she was ranked 4th in the year, that left only 3 people above her. Number 1 was Miyuki. Not a girl. Number 2 was Kaguya. Not someone who'd interact with Tanuma. Number 3 was Maki Shijo. I don't think you need to worry, Kashiwagi-san. Rinji said. Huh? Why not? Because that girl looks like a loser. I doubt anything's going to happen, so there's no need to worry. I haven't even said who it is yet. I can already guess. Are you suggesting I let them go for now? Then investigate? No. Just get rid of your boyfriend. Even if it wasn't cheating, his behavior's bad enough. He's no good. Kaguya. You should just stop talking. I've made up my mind. Kashiwagi seemed to have made her decision. I'll check with Tsubasa one last time. If he doesn't give me a satisfactory answer, then we're done. Later that day, ugh. I knew you'd come here, so I got tissues ready ahead of time. At the student council coffee table, Maki Shijo sat crying. Rinji thoughtfully placed a pack of tissues in front of her. In the end, Danuma and Kashiwagi made up and stayed together. The person Kashiwagi suspected was Maki, but the reason Tanuma had met with her was just to pick out a gift for their 6-month anniversary. It was a misunderstanding. The couple was happy again, which should have been a heartwarming ending. But screw that. Rinji's plan to send Tanuma to Africa was ruined. Damn it. I even picked out a super tacky necklace on purpose. Why didn't Kashiwagi get mad? Couples don't break up over something that's small. Rinji said. If you'd get mad over that, no wonder you don't have a boyfriend. Ugh. Don't cry. Let me rephrase. No wonder the guy you like ran off with someone else. Wah. A while later. Calmed down? Sorry you had to see me like this. Maki said, putting on her usual prideful expression. I have a feeling I'll be seeing this side of you a lot. What did you just say? I mean, any progress on your end? What are you talking about? Stealing someone's love? Huh. You and Tanuma went to karaoke, studied together. It looks like your plan's moving forward. What nonsense are you talking about? Maki lifted her head haughtily and looked at Rinji. Only commoners would think of stealing someone else's partner. I'd never do something so low. I figured. I mean, even when you got a rare chance to be alone with him, all he did was ask you to help pick a gift for his girlfriend. You're a great tool. Ah, we're almost out of tissues. Ugh. Why do you always say these things? Maki looked at Rinji, her teary eyes full of silent accusation. I'm just stating facts. Can you honestly say you weren't hoping for something while running around with Danuma? Hoping for what? To take advantage of the cracks. I already told you I'm not that kind of person. Good, then don't. I mean it. Judging from today, it's clear Danuma has nothing to do with you. If you did have feelings, it would only hurt more. Luckily you don't. Hey, get up. Don't you dare die in the student council office. Chapter 342, The Persecution Always Comes Around. President, I don't think anyone in this school has the concept of studying in their heads. What are you talking about? Shuchin has the highest deviation score in all of Tokyo. Really? I feel like no one here wants to study at all. Okay, I'll bite. Why do you think that? In the student council office, everyone was seated. Rinji had just arrived and immediately started complaining to Shirogane. Ishigami was sitting on the couch, headphones in, but he could still hear some of the conversation and took one earbud out. Mainly because Rinji got set up again by classmates. Huh? Shirogane turned a curious gaze to Rinji. Rinji scratched his head in frustration. Today's last class was homeroom, and everyone was discussing the upcoming Hoshinsai in a month. The Hoshinsai was Shuchin's school festival, similar to standard Japanese high school culture festivals. The school took a day off for it, and each class or club prepared a presentation or activity. Did the Hoshin festival offend you or something? The Hoshin festival is still a month away. And before that, we have final exams. Aren't these students worried about failing? Rinji shouted. Ishigami, well, no one wants to always think about depressing things. Even if you know your end is near, you still want to enjoy your days. Don't tell me you're already prepared to fail. If you keep a calm mind, passing or failing doesn't really matter. It's just a number. Impressive. Rinji had to admit, he respected Ishigami's so-called calm mind. Though Rinji himself wasn't someone who cared much about grades either. Ishigami glanced at the still confused Shirogane and began explaining. Here's what happened. 1 hour earlier. Class meeting. About the Hoshin festival 1 month from now, if we wait until just 2 days before to prepare, it'll be too late. At the very least, we should decide on the project now. Onodera stood in front of the blackboard, chalk in hand, scribbling as she spoke. If anyone has suggestions, feel free to share. Rinji, Onodera, if it's something like a martial arts arena, then no. Rinji lowered his hand. I have one. A student raised their hand. Go ahead. How about a maid cafe? The student grinned. Other classes have done it in past years. We could try it too. Alright. Girls who are interested can sign up voluntarily. Onodera wrote maid cafe on the board. I wouldn't mind playing a maid for a bit, but if we want our cafe to stand out from past years, we'll need some new features. Any ideas? Add a photo session. That's already been done. Include cursed cuisine. You trying to poison people? Then how about adding a popular mascot girl? One student suggested. That's not bad. It could really attract customers. But our class doesn't have that many popular girls. A standout mascot needs both popularity and charm. I don't think we have anyone who fits that profile. At that moment, Onodera seemed to recall something. The rest of the class apparently thought of the same thing. All eyes turned toward Rinji, who looked utterly confused. The hell are you all staring at me for? Explanation ends. Ishigami, that's how it went. Because Rinji refused to cooperate, our maid cafe plan was scrapped. So it's my fault now? If you had agreed, we could have finalized the whole thing. That flashy crap? I still think setting up a martial arts stage would have been great. Judo club, karate club, kendo club. They could all join in. Can you not with the violence? Shirogane smiled and asked, so what did your class end up picking? Oh, we haven't decided on anything. After an entire period, and still no decision? Just then, I know, who had been reading the whole time, chimed in, actually, we picked the second option too. And? That didn't work either. Huh? Here's what happened. 30 minutes earlier. We'll table the maid cafe for now. Any other good suggestions? I have one. Ina raised her hand. Go ahead. How about a play? The whole class putting on a stage performance? A play, huh? Could work. Onodera said as she calmly analyzed the idea, chin in hand. But I heard the drama club and the cheer club are both doing plays. The drama club specializes in this, and the gymnastics club has Koyasu Tsubaime, a hugely popular upperclassman. We probably can't compete. Plus, we don't have time to write a new script. What if we used an old one? The drama club used to perform a modern version of Sleeping Beauty. That's doable, but there's a scene where the prince kisses the princess awake, so the prince and princess would have to be the same gender to avoid any weird implications. Onodera noted. Still, the main issue is casting. Do we even have someone in our class who's both good at acting and popular? We actually used to. Except that person had been shipped off to Thailand by Rinji and was probably debuting as a female idol now. Well. Wait, I just remembered. There's one guy in our class who's definitely popular, and I bet no one would feel weird seeing him play the princess. Swish. Everyone once again stared at Rinji. Assholes, why the hell are you all staring at me again? Explanation ends. I know, because Rinji refused to cooperate, the play project was scrapped. Rinji, I'm starting to think you guys are targeting me. Ishigami, absolutely not. Bullshit. Then why did you propose a haunted house and try to force me to play Sadako? You guys are way too obvious about it. Rinji shouted. And don't count me in. I already made plans with Secretary Fujiwara to perform a duet at the festival. Fujiwara. Rinji-kun, can I ask something? What? When we go on stage, can you wear the same evening dress as me? Get lost. Chapter 343, Rinji wants to give a gift. The room was completely dark. In this dim and narrow space, two men sat facing each other. They stared in silence for a long time until one of them finally spoke. You know why I asked you to come here? I can guess. I think it's time. Ishigami looked expressionless as he reached out and flipped the switch on the wall. Click. Light from the ceiling lit up the room, making it bright. Why the hell did you set the room up so dark before calling me in? And what's with that horror story tone? You sounded like you were planning something shady. It adds atmosphere. We're just talking about giving a gift to a girlfriend. It's not that serious. After Tanuma Tsubasa gave a necklace to Kashiwagi Nagisa to celebrate 6 months of dating, Rinji started thinking about doing something similar. He realized he had been dating Karura for a while too. Not quite 6 months, but still, he hadn't given her a single gift. That fact made him reflect. But as someone experiencing his first relationship, Rinji had no idea what kind of gift to give a girl. After thinking it over, he turned to the love mentor Ishigami for advice. As for why he didn't ask the great love detective Fujiwara, Rinji wasn't the kind of person who had a death wish. Giving a gift to a girlfriend. This was a real problem for someone who'd only been dating for less than half a year. After all, there's no guarantee a girl will like what you give. If you mess up and give the wrong thing, it might even ruin the relationship. Lipstick? Not a chance. He had no idea what color would be right. Snacks? She might get mad and think he's saying she needs to diet. And the whole as long as it comes from the heart thing? Yeah, that was obviously a lie. So what to give, and how to give it? These were real problems worth considering. You've never given a gift before? I gave the president something for his birthday once. On Mother's Day, I give my mom flowers. Usually carnations. On Father's Day, I give my dad stuff like Frostmourne or a signal axe. So basically, you've never given a gift to a girl your age? Nope. Same here. Damn, so you don't know either. It's not that I don't know. I've never done it, but I get the general idea. Ishigami said. First, the best option is figuring out what your girlfriend likes. Let me think. Flashback. I want to have a baby with Rinji. Rinji. Let's beep right now. Flashback ends. That one's too advanced for me. Pick another. Okay, so what kind of girl is your girlfriend? Just a regular girl. I mean type. Is she a bookworm? Athletic? An otaku? Someone who loves to travel or listen to music? Rinji fell into deep thought. At school, she acted like a normal girl. Her club was the Wind Ensemble, so she was probably the music-loving type. But she was also a member of the Cure clan, the clan leader's eldest great-granddaughter, and a professional assassin. Her daily work involved sending various people to meet their creator. Looking at it that way, Karura was definitely a sporty girl. She likes music, but I'd say she's a sporty type. I see. Not knowing Karura's true profession, Ishigami nodded thoughtfully, feeling like he understood. In that case, start with the sports she likes. If it's badminton, get her a racket or new shoes. If it's skating, go with skates. Oh, I get it. In Rinji's mind, all sorts of high-grade weapons began flashing by. Knives, missiles, and their price tags rapidly scrolling through his mental list. Also, since it's a gift, the packaging matters too. Just handing it over bare looks insincere. Got it. In Rinji's mind, a Tomahawk missile had a cute ribbon tied around it with silk. And if possible, include a message with it. Right. Now, besides the ribbon, the missile in his imagination also had I love you written on it in marker. Of course, if your budget allows, something more expensive is fine too. Understood. In his mind, the payload upgraded from high explosives to a nuclear warhead. Basically, Rinji's thought process was getting further and further off track. Anyway, That's all from me. Ishigami stood up, planning to head home. Before leaving, he turned to Renji and said, if you still can't decide, just ask online. I'm sure helpful netizens will give you some good advice. Alright. Thanks a lot today. No problem. After closing the door, Renji pulled out his phone, logged onto the forum, and posted his question in the community. I am a buff dude, is it appropriate to give your girlfriend a nuclear bomb as a gift? Anonymous user, are you stupid? Anonymous user, I feel like you're joking. Anonymous user, WW, anonymous user, lol, anonymous user, if you can actually afford a nuke, why would you even be struggling to buy a gift? I am a buff dude replies, then do you have any suggestions? Anonymous user replies, sure. If you can afford it. The next afternoon. Student council office. Renji, have you picked the gift? I have. I even processed it last night. Renji said with a smile. Thanks to the advice from some netizens. What exactly did you get? Click. Hey. Sagra Kaname opened the door to the student council office and addressed everyone. The principal wants to take a group photo of the student council members. Please come to the rooftop. Alright. Hearing there was a task, the student council members put their work aside and followed Sagra to the rooftop. Walking beside Renji, Shire again asked in a low voice, so you picked a gift for your girlfriend? Yeah, it's already bought. What did you get? You'll see when we get to the rooftop. Huh? When they arrived, the principal was already there with a camera. Renji led Ishigami and Shirogane to the railing of the rooftop. A gentle breeze stirred their hair. Pointing in the direction of the city, Renji said confidently, that's the gift I got her. In the distance, the view revealed a sprawling and vibrant cityscape. Ishigami and Shirogane were momentarily surprised, then smiled knowingly. I see. So that's what it is. A gift is the scenery we enjoy together. That's so poetic, Renji. Didn't know you had such a romantic side. Impressive. Renji. His hand was still raised, frozen mid-gesture, face slightly flushed. What he actually meant to point to was an entire office building 3 blocks down. But hearing Ishigami and Shirogane's compliments, he couldn't bring himself to explain. Yeah. You're right. Chapter 344, can you understand this frustration and bitterness? So. Principal, you want to create a Shuchen brochure? Yes, it's for promotional purposes, to show outsiders the fulfilling lives of Shuchen students. Said the principal, holding his camera with a smile. So I'd like to ask the student council members to model for it. I see. The principal didn't intend for the brochure to be an internal school publication but something to distribute externally, most likely to attract new students. It was probably part of a strategy to increase the number of incoming students from outside the school. I want students from outside to get a sense of what life in Shuchen is like. Something that makes them think I want to experience youth at this school. So please try to look vibrant and full of energy. Vibrant and full of energy. Everyone fell silent in thought. At this moment, Renji raised his hand and asked, so the goal is to attract students from other schools to Shuchen, right? Exactly. I have an idea. Please go ahead. First. Renji walked over to the small rooftop structure near the entrance, pulled a black can of spray paint from his pocket, and shook it. Click-clack. Wait, Renji, where did you get that spray paint? PSSH. Before the principal could finish speaking, Renji had already started spraying the wall. On the once clean wall, bold black characters quickly appeared, Shuchen's apex. Then, take a photo facing this wall. Add some students lying on the ground, covered in fake blood. The tagline, welcome to a passionate youth. Stop that. This isn't hot-blooded high school. We're a prestigious institution with a long history, not a haven for delinquents. The principal yelled. TCH, you're no fun. Seeing his plan rejected, Renji reluctantly picked up a cloth and began wiping the spray paint off the wall. Ahem. Anyway, no need to make things so complicated. The principal coughed, addressing the student council. We just need to take a few sample photos. Kaguya hesitated for a moment before raising her hand. Yes, Shinami. My family has a rule. She said a bit awkwardly. My face isn't allowed to appear in any magazine. Oh, no. The principal held his head and let out a series of regretful sighs. Kaguya was hugely popular at school. With her cute face and natural aura, she was easily one of the top beauties at Shuchen. The principal saw her absence from the publication as a huge loss. I'm really sorry, principal. It's all right. I'm aware of your family's situation. The principal didn't press the issue. He glanced over at Renji, who had just finished cleaning the wall. Renji, could you come over for a second? Huh? Hearing this, Renji tossed aside the cloth and walked over. At the same time, the principal turned to Fujiwara. Fujiwara, Would you mind standing next to Rinji? Sure. Fujiwara nodded cheerfully and stood beside Rinji. The principal raised his camera and aimed it at the two of them. Principal, is something wrong? Something feels off. The principal muttered, brows furrowed. He turned to the blushing Aino standing off to the side. Aino, could you try standing next to Rinji? Oh, okay. Aino seemed a little shy when she heard they'd be acting as models. But when the principal asked her to stand next to Rinji, she blushed and stepped forward. The principal looked through the camera at Rinji's blank face and Aino's bashful one. Still, he didn't press the shutter. Still doesn't feel right. What exactly are you thinking about, principal? Wait a second. Suddenly, the principal seemed to have an idea. He reached behind him, pulled out a school magazine, flipped to a page showcasing the girls' uniforms, then folded the model's head back, leaving only the body and uniform visible. And held it up next to Rinji. Now it fits. Rinji, I wonder if I could ask a favor of you. What? Could you wear a girl's uniform and let us take a picture? Do you want me to kill you? I don't want this either. The principal suddenly dropped to his knees and howled. I originally wanted to do a couple-themed photo shoot, pairing you with a girl for the school magazine. But no matter which girl stood next to you, there was this unexplainable sense of awkwardness. You. Then I realized something just now. If you wear a girl's uniform, all that awkwardness vanishes. And I plan to use that photo as the magazine cover. It'll definitely be a huge hit. Saying this, the kneeling principal lowered his head as if he were sinking into despair. It's so frustrating. I finally found the perfect model but can't fulfill the vision. Do you know how helpless that feels? He pounded the ground with both fists while ranting. Rinji was already struggling to hold himself back from hitting this French-looking John Wick. Clap. Just then, a hand rested on the principal's shoulder. The disheartened principal looked up slightly and saw Ishigami kneeling beside him, eyes filled with deep empathy. Principal, I understand you. Ah. Ishigami. The principal's eyes lit up. You really do? I can feel your helplessness. Ishigami. Principal. Hey, you two idiots want me to toss you off the roof? Seeing the two so in sync, Rinji's forehead was bulging with veins. Forget it. The principal stood up, dusted off his knees, and handed the camera to Rinji. Rinji, you handle the photos. Just capture some student interactions around the school. Fine. Do I need to focus on couples? If it looks like a couple, just shoot it. Got it. Rinji raised the camera and aimed it at Shire again. Shinomiya, could you please stand next to the president? Kaguya's face turned red in an instant. What does this mean? Is Rinji-kun saying we look like a couple? So embarrassing. I must have misunderstood him before. He's actually such a sweet guy. Flustered, Kaguya stammered, Rinji-kun, you know. My family's situation. I'm your dad's dad. If that punk says one word, I'll smack him. So just stand there, my little granddaughter. Yep. Still a bad boy. Chapter 345, Snap okay, smile, you too. Alright. Rinji stood in the garden outside the school building, pointing the camera at the couple, Nagisa Kashiwagi and Tsubasa Tanuma. The principal had asked him to take photos that captured the youthful spirit of the students for the school magazine. Originally, Rinji suggested just photographing students studying in classrooms to highlight the academic rigor of Shuchen Academy. But the principal rejected that. Because he believed if the magazine only emphasized studying, no one would feel the school had any youthful vibe. No one would choose to come here. Rinji thought the principal's concerns were completely off. Students not wanting to enroll didn't mean their parents wouldn't want them to. After all, it's the parents who pay, and they'd prefer schools with good academic reputations. As far as Rinji was concerned, no one at Shuchen had done any market research. They had no clue who their actual audience was. Still, that wasn't his concern. He'd just take photos the way he liked. In front of him, Nagisa Kashiwagi leaned sweetly into Tsubasa Tanuma's chest, both of them smiling. Rinji snapped the photo. Click. Perfect? Thanks, you too. No problem. Kashiwagi smiled. Are you taking student photos, Rinji-kun? Yeah. For the school magazine. Rinji flipped through the camera's photos while answering. Most were students working out on the field or reading in the garden. The school life actually looked quite rich. Are you taking couple photos too? Yeah, not sure what's going through the principal's head. But considering Japanese girls can marry at 16, I guess it's not that strange. After organizing the photos, Rinji prepared to go shoot some club activities. Just then, he noticed someone behind the couple in the grass. Maki Shijo was hiding there, looking utterly miserable. This counts as youth too. Without a second thought, Rinji aimed and took a photo of her tearful expression. So, the school wants photos of daily student life. That includes club activities. Momo-senpai, could you help me out? Take whatever you want. No, I mean. You lying there like that makes it hard to press the shutter. Rinji looked expressionlessly at Momo, who was sprawled out on a rooftop air cushion, playing on her phone. I can't exactly tell prospective students that the astronomy club's activity is spending the day playing gacha games. Doesn't really sell it. You can't see stars during the day anyway. Well, that's true. But at least pretend a bit. Rinji sighed. Senpai, can you at least gather your club members for a group shot? Aren't you my only club member? Now that you mention it. Then just shoot yourself. Momo turned her head and smiled. You're popular at school anyway. How about putting on that girl's uniform again? Don't bring that up. I saw your cheer performance at the sports festival. It was dazzling. Please forget that ever happened. That's black history. No way I'm showing up in a magazine like that. Rinji firmly rejected her suggestion. If it had been anyone else teasing him like Momo did, he would have thrown them off the roof. Whatever. Momo put down her phone, got up, slipped on her shoes, and walked over to Rinji. Give me the camera. Okay. Not sure what she was up to, Rinji handed it over. Then, Momo suddenly stepped in close, wrapped her arm around his neck, and pressed his face to hers. Don't move. She raised the camera one-handed, aimed it at the two of them, and clicked the shutter. Click. The screen showed a close-up of their faces pressed together. That'll be the astronomy club's activity photo. She said that, then kicked off her shoes and plopped back on the air cushion to continue playing. Huh? You're here for a photo shoot? No problem. Rinji had arrived at the rhythmic gymnastics club in the small auditorium. This club was all girls, and all of them were quite pretty. The president was Tsubame, former vice-captain of the cheer team. They were in the middle of practice. Tsubame was wearing a tight-fitting leotard that perfectly highlighted her figure. The principal told me to take more photos of pretty girls to boost the magazine's appeal. That old pervert thinks I don't know what's going on in his head. Why doesn't he go shoot the girls' locker room? Despite muttering that, Rinji still aimed the camera at Tsubame. She cooperatively picked up a rope and did a difficult double under jump. The camera captured her perfectly midair. Thanks, Tsubame-senpai. I'm off to shoot other clubs. Oh right, Takuman-kun. Tsubame suddenly called out. I heard you'll be performing at the Hoshin Festival next month. Yeah. Isn't everyone required to participate? Some of my club mates say you'll be performing with Fujisawa from the second year. That's right. I see. After the sports festival, there've been lots of rumors about what you'll do at the Hoshin Festival. People started speculating all kinds of things. Like what? Like working as a maid at the maid cafe. Fake news. Next. Or playing the princess in a stage play. Still fake news. Rinji's brow twitched. Don't believe every ridiculous rumor. I was in the cheer squad, remember? Do I look like the type to do that kind of stuff? But during the cheer squad, that was you guys tricking me. You think I enjoyed it? I was holding back from punching someone the whole time. Chapter 346, this might be promising. Even a guy like you has a day where you're working seriously. You really have a bias against me. As long as it's something I actually want to do, I'll always give it my best effort. Why can't you apply that attitude to something proper? Everyone gets lost at some crossroads in life. Inside the Kendo Club's dojo, Rinji was photographing the trophies the club had won over the years. Compared to just photographing members training, capturing the awards and honors made for more compelling material. The Kendo Club captain stood behind Rinji, brows furrowed. His father was a high-ranking official in the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, and he'd heard the rumors about Rinji. Back when his father worked in Kyoto, he was personally involved in the capture of Rinji, who had been accused of multiple serious crimes. Even now, his father would occasionally talk about how shocking it was. Who would have thought someone with dozens of lives on his hands could be younger than his own son? But just 2 hours after the arrest, Rinji was released, and everyone involved was ordered never to speak of it again. Back then. Why were you released? Because the Japanese government got enough benefits, and they didn't want the situation to escalate. After weighing the pros and cons, they made the call. Rinji finished taking the photos and slung the camera around his neck. In short, everyone profited, so the whole thing was quietly buried. He turned and gave the club captain a smile. It's not something you can control. TCH. Just knowing I'm going to the same school as a murderer makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm not a murderer. Rinji turned and walked out of the dojo, waving goodbye. No one has the guts to convict me. He had already photographed nearly every school club. The only one left was the tabletop gaming club where Fujiwara hung out. To be honest, Renji didn't want to go there. Every time he did, it was just a group of students eating, playing, and messing around. Fujiwara had said they were currently developing a new board game and expected to finish it next semester. She'd asked Renji to support their request for a higher club budget once it was done. I think I've got enough shots. Renji opened the camera gallery and browsed through the photos he'd taken. He'd basically covered the entire school. Now he just needed a few candid shots of students chatting. Walking through the school halls, Renji raised the camera again. In front of the lens were 3 girls chatting. One of them was Hayasaka. Huh? Hayasaka seemed to notice him. She said something to her 2 friends, then jogged over to him. Takuman-kun. Are you taking school photos? Ah, yes. Usually, Hayasaka called him Renji. The sudden switch to Takuman-kun was probably for her friend's sake. We're taking daily student life shots for the school magazine. Eh? Her 2 friends reacted loudly. You're taking pictures without telling us first? At least give us time to freshen up a little. Of course, they didn't want to be on camera looking average. Since the photos would be published in a magazine, they obviously wanted to be picture perfect. I don't think it's necessary to worry. Renji said. If the pictures turn out bad, I'll just delete them. Hey. What's that supposed to mean? Are you saying we look bad? No. I didn't mean that. Actually, her 2 friends were quite pretty. Renji just wasn't great with words. Alright, that's not what he meant. Hayasaka stepped in with a smile, calming her friends down before turning to Renji again. Takuman-kun, if you're taking school photos, there's a really nice spot you should see. Huh? Where? I'll take you. After saying goodbye to her friends, Hayasaka led Renji out of the school building. Hayasaka, it's club activity time after school. You're not in any club, right? Right. But I have to wait for Kaguya-sama to finish school. That's part of my job. Her tone shifted back to her usual calm, maid-like demeanor after leaving her friends. Renji glanced at her and let out a small sigh. Must be a tough job. It is. Been doing it for 10 years now. Ever think about quitting? All the time. Every single day. Hayasaka smiled. But it's not that easy. My job isn't just a simple employment contract. There are family factions involved, and I don't have much say in it. She could speak freely like this only because being around Renji made her feel relaxed. Just like 4 years ago. That's not a problem. If you want out, I can help you. Renji said calmly. You know what I'm capable of. I do. And I believe you could pull it off. But. Hayasaka looked off into the distance. Toward the student council building. Right now, I'm still worried about Kaguya-sama. That makes sense. Renji smiled. Come to think of it, she used to be so cold to everyone. What changed her? Meeting the president. I see. Renji raised the camera and took a picture of the student council building. I can't decide things for you. I just don't want you pushing yourself too hard. He lowered the camera. Now that I think about it, one reason I used to dislike Shinomiya was because you were her maid. Hayasaka's lips curved up slightly. Was that jealousy? Back when I found out, yeah. I even felt like gutting her. Renji chuckled, a bit embarrassed by how immature he used to be. Want me to be your maid instead? Hayasaka teased. I'd be happy to. Though clearly a joke, Renji actually considered it. It might not be such a bad idea. Chapter 347, has my missile arrived yet? So that's the deal. After talking with Hayasaka, I'm hoping you can give her a day off. Only Kaguya and Renji were in the student council room. To avoid exposing Hayasaka's true identity, Renji waited until the other council members had left before bringing it up. Kaguya was briefly stunned by the request. Then she asked, a day off for Hayasaka? Why? To have her try being my maid for a day. Her face went from shock to horrified. What? What do you plan to do to her? Just want to see what it's like to have her be my maid for a day. Renji replied plainly. Why so sudden? To work through a psychological issue. Huh? Renji explained, back then, when I found out Hayasaka was your maid, I had to hold back the urge to smash her head in every time I saw you in the student council. But later I got a girlfriend, so I wasn't as hostile. Still. He walked over to the window, leaned against the sill, and looked at the setting sun outside. I won't deny that I used to like Hayasaka. And knowing the girl I once liked was working as a maid for my enemy's daughter. Shinomiya, do you get how that feels? I think I do. If I didn't genuinely consider you a friend, I wouldn't even be able to work with you like this. So, to get past this mental block, I'd like you to let Hayasaka take a day off and be my maid for a day. Renji smiled. Think of it as doing me a small favor. I don't really mind. Kaguya sounded hesitant. But you do realize that Hayasaka was assigned to me by the main family when I was 7. For her to leave the residence, we'd need approval from them. Even I. Then just call it a sick day. You want me to lie to the main family? If they find out. Hello? This is Logistics Support, Southeast Asia Division. This is Agent 0054. The BLU-113 bunker buster I ordered 2 days ago should be. Alright. I'll get her the day off. Seeing Rinji about to go off the rails, Kaguya quickly caved. That's why you're the great Shinami lady. Always decisive. Rinji said, putting down his phone and applauding. You were blackmailing me. How exactly did I threaten you? Even if a missile gets dropped, it's going to hit the main house, not you. Rinji said with a grin. Besides, you know I wouldn't move against the Shinamiya family before finding the right way to take over their industries. Then that phone call just now. Just confirming my order status. You scared the hell out of me. Though eventually, it's still going to the main house. You really are dangerous. Kaguya couldn't help covering her face. Seriously. I thought you had turned over a new leaf after staying in the student council for a while. But you're still the same bastard who doesn't treat people like humans. Hey now, it's not like I'm bombing your house. Worst case, your dad and those 2 brothers of yours get flattened. I have 3 older brothers. Huh? I only saw 2 last time I visited your place. Remember that missile you launched at the main house 4 years ago? Kaguya said with a blank expression. Yeah, I aimed it at your ancestral shrine. There shouldn't have been anyone there, right? My 3rd brother was on a call near the shrine. He got hit by shrapnel and was in the hospital for 3 months. I bet he's hiding somewhere right now since he heard you're coming. TCH, still alive? You Shinamias are tough. I'll just take that as a compliment. Kaguya shook her head in exasperation. While she wasn't afraid of Renji like the rest of her family, she had to admit that talking to him was exhausting. Honestly, with your means and influence, if you really wanted to destroy the Shinamiya family, you wouldn't need to go for such extreme methods. Shinamiya, let me ask you something. Renji looked at her. You were taught economics from a young age, weren't you? Yes. Things like monopolistic competition, encouraging consumption, promoting market economy. That whole set. New classical economics, huh? Fits your corporate background perfectly. Renji said with a smile. But do you know what kind of economic principles I was raised on? What? Increase production, reduce consumption, cut back on investment and capital. War economics. We grew up in different worlds. I'm not someone who excels at commercial warfare. I specialize in real war. Facing an enemy on their turf where I am weak would be foolish. So all I do is drag my enemies into my battlefield. Renji said. In other words, what I'll be doing in the future is no different from what I did 4 years ago. You really are dangerous. Thanks. My job is to create hell. If I'm not dangerous, that just means I'm slacking off. Kaguya knew Renji wasn't going to change anytime soon. She gave up thinking about it and instead walked over and patted his shoulder. Hayasaka will be at your place tonight. You better not bully her. Even if you're dangerous, I won't forgive you if you do. Don't worry. Renji replied, I'll treat her better than you ever did. Dressed in a maid outfit, Hayasaka stood outside Renji's apartment and looked up at the door. Though she had joked about it, she didn't expect Renji to actually agree. But this was a good thing. It meant she'd successfully gotten under the same roof as Renji, even if just for a one-day trial period as a maid. Still, it was a great opportunity. Who knew what might happen over the course of the day? She lightly slapped her own cheeks, then rang the doorbell. Ding dong. Click. Hayasaka, welcome. Sorry to intrude. As the door opened, Hayasaka slipped fully into maid mode. This is my first time working as a maid in someone else's home. Should I start by cooking or? I've already made dinner. Renji pointed to the dining table. There were several aromatic and delicately prepared dishes already laid out. Cleaning, then? I cleaned already. Laundry? Already hanging to dry. So, am I really here as a maid? Chapter 348, so this is a maid about an hour earlier. Hayasaka had returned to the Shinamiya residence as usual with Kaguya. Inside Kaguya's room, she placed both hands on Hayasaka's shoulders and said seriously, Hayasaka, you're about to go. Kaguya-sama, the way you're saying that sounds like I'm marching to my death. Hayasaka replied with her usual flat expression. It's just being Renji's maid for a day. You're going to be a maid for a very dangerous person. He's not dangerous to me. In any case, protect yourself. Kaguya looked genuinely worried. Didn't you once say that boys are creatures ruled by desire? If he loses control and attacks you, then I'll just enjoy it. Huh? Kaguya-sama, haven't you noticed from all the time you've spent with him in the student council office? Hayasaka asked. Does Renji really seem like someone ruled by his desires? Well, in truth, Kaguya was probably just overthinking things. Renji had always acted like the abstinent type. Even after dating his girlfriend for half a year, the only thing that had happened was a kiss. And nothing else. Totally giving off sex? No thanks. Energy. So basically, Kaguya seemed to realize something. This is actually an opportunity for you. Exactly. Are you serious? He asked you to be a maid, you know. Kaguya-sama. Hayasaka's gaze turned sharp. A maid is a bonus attribute. Huh? Maid. Before home appliances, there was a great need for domestic workers. Upper-class nobility, being a labor-free class, relied on servants to maintain their luxurious lives. In the 19th century, industrial development allowed the middle class to become wealthy. To show off their status, they began hiring servants too, leading to a spike in demand for maids. In 1777, Britain taxed households that hired male servants and gave female maids more flexibility in duties, further increasing demand. In other words, in the past, only the elite could afford maids. In modern times, with the rise of ACGN culture, the image of a maid has taken on a special cultural significance. What's called mo? Kaguya-sama, where do you think a maid's charm lies? The outfit. Wrong. Hayasaka's eyes sharpened. It's the work ethic and intellect. Without those two things, wearing a maid outfit is just a hollow shell. I've served you for 10 years, Kaguya-sama. A maid's qualities are already ingrained into me. I am the real deal. That actually sounds impressive. Exactly. That's why I can't go to Renji's place just to play around. I have to be a maid. I get it now. You want Renji to fully understand how attractive a professional maid can be, right? Kaguya clapped her hands, understanding Hayasaka's intent. I'm glad you get it. Then I'll head out. Wait, Hayasaka. Hayasaka turned around and saw Kaguya sitting on the bed, looking awkward, like she had something she couldn't say. A maid really attracts boys? I believe so. Halfway through her response, Hayasaka realized what Kaguya was getting at. She probably wanted to find some new way to make Shirogane confess. This time she was eyeing the maid attribute. Forgive me for being blunt, Kaguya-sama, but even if you play the part of a maid, you'd only capture the look, not the essence. I never said I'd dress up as one. I can tell exactly what you're thinking. I'll get going now, Kaguya-sama. Hayasaka picked up a small bag and headed for the door. Oh right, President Shirogane's family lives in the same building as Renji. They sometimes visit. If there's a chance, I'll do a little recon for you. Cough. It's not a big deal or anything. Just do what you can. Kaguya blushed and stammered. Sure. I'll give it my all. This time visiting Renji's place, Hayasaka truly intended to work seriously. To fully showcase her appeal as a professional maid, this time visiting Renji's place, Hayasaka truly intended to work seriously. To fully showcase her appeal as a professional maid. That was the plan. Hayasaka, drinks are over here. Need me to get you more rice? I made some dessert earlier. We'll have it after dinner. Hayasaka. For some reason, all the qualities a maid should have seemed to exist in this guy. It was baffling. As she pondered where things went wrong, she sat there emotionless, eating the meal Renji had made. She had to admit. It was delicious. Am I really here to be a maid? She began to doubt it. After a lifetime of taking care of others, this was the first time someone was taking care of her. After dinner, Hayasaka sat on the sofa deep in thought, while at that moment, Renji was washing the dishes. Oh no. Having grown unaccustomed to being taken care of, Hayasaka momentarily forgot the purpose of her visit. She quickly stood and ran to the kitchen. Let me wash those. Oh, but I already finished. Renji pointed to the plates on the side, already so clean they gleamed. Being taken care of. How did it feel? Of course, it felt amazing. But that wasn't Hayasaka's goal. Renji, do you have any other chores that need doing? Doesn't seem like it. Hayasaka collapsed back onto the sofa, looking a little defeated. It kinda feels like the pride I had as a maid has been stripped away. Renji. So, why did you ask me to come over, Renji? To be a maid, of course. And the work? Well, Renji said with a grin, I heard you work hard as a maid under Shinomiya, so I invited you here to what? To be a relaxed maid. That was probably Renji's own brand of twisted concern. Sigh. Hayasaka exhaled and sat upright on the sofa. Even a relaxed maid still needs to work. Doing nothing at all just makes me feel guilty, so. As she spoke, she gently patted her lap, covered by her long maid skirt. Lie down. Huh? This is something I can do, at least. Before Renji could react, Hayasaka grabbed his shoulder and pulled him toward her. Renji's head landed squarely on her lap. Huh? This is... Don't move. Hayasaka took an earpick from her pocket and gently inserted it into Renji's ear. Chapter 349, My Family Had Maids Too? Feel good? Yeah. Renji lay with his head on Hayasaka's lap, enjoying her gentle ear cleaning. There wasn't much earwax, but he still closed his eyes in comfort. For him, this kind of experience was extremely rare. Never thought I'd be the one being taken care of by you. Renji said with a smile. Is this how you usually treat Shinomiya? No, definitely not. Really? If Shinomiya got this treatment every day, I'd be jealous. So, is this your first time lying on a girl's lap, Renji? It is. Renji chuckled. When I was little, I used to sit on my mom's lap and watch TV, but that was a long time ago. Right now, I just feel really at peace. Then just stay like that a bit longer. Hayasaka smiled. After finishing with the ear pick, she started gently stroking his hair. The atmosphere in the living room instantly became soft and warm. Wait a second. Renji suddenly opened his eyes. I'm lying on your lap, Hayasaka. Doesn't this kind of count as... Smack. Before he could finish, Hayasaka clamped a hand over his mouth. It doesn't. If you're trying to ask whether this counts as cheating, then obviously, it doesn't. Hayasaka calmly said, holding his mouth shut while pressing his head firmly onto her lap. Miles per hour? This is part of a maid's duties. Perfectly normal. A maid's job isn't just chores. Of course, it includes pleasing the master and helping them relax. Hayasaka said. It's perfectly standard. Still silenced, Renji didn't say another word, though his eyes were filled with doubt. Hayasaka wasn't exactly lying. There were certain maids with that kind of job. Though that definitely wasn't part of any official description. More like an unspoken role. Still, Renji shut his eyes again. It was relaxing, after all. As for Hayasaka, she let go of his mouth and continued gently stroking his hair. For the 10 years she'd worked under the Shinomiya household, Hayasaka had been under constant pressure, which only grew worse with time. The weight she carried was far greater than anyone her age. But in this moment, not only was Renji relaxing, Hayasaka herself felt something she hadn't in a long time, comfort. It was kind of like petting a cat. After resting on her lap for quite a while, Renji slowly sat up and rubbed his temples. Maids have this many duties. Of course. My family used to have a maid too. She's now the head maid and lives with my grandparents. But I never saw her do any chores. Then what did she do? Recon, mine-laying, assassinations, and bodyguard work. Was she really a maid? Didn't she do anything less dangerous? Of course she was a maid. She wore a maid outfit every day. Renji said. As for less dangerous tasks. Sure, things like maintaining firearms. Hayasaka didn't really know much about Renji's family. She'd only met his mother and heard his father's voice over the phone. Renji's mother had left a strong impression. She was like the ideal model of a perfect woman in Hayasaka's mind. As for his father, though she hadn't seen him, the lively and slightly dumb-sounding voice from the phone left its own kind of impression. Renji stretched his back after sitting up, then pulled out his phone to check the time. It was exactly 7 p.m. I'm heading out to buy some snacks. Do you want anything, Hayasaka? Just coffee. Coffee at night? All right. Renji changed shoes and opened the door, turning back to ask, do you want to come with me? I'll stay in tonight. Hayasaka said with a smile. I came to work as a maid, so I need to be mindful of my role and responsibilities. I want to take a little time to get familiar with the layout of the house. Don't overdo it. I can handle some things on my own. Don't worry. I just don't want all the work to be taken from me. Hayasaka replied. By the way, Renji, I might need to check your room as part of familiarizing myself with the house. Is that okay? Go ahead. Understood. After Renji left and the door closed, Hayasaka turned and looked toward his room. She had said she wanted to get familiar with the layout for work, but honestly, Renji's place wasn't that big. Less than 200 square meters in total. Compared to the Shinomiya mansion with its gardens, it would only take a few minutes to understand the space here. Her real goal was to check Renji's room. To learn more about his interests. This kind of knowledge would help her pick the right birthday gift for him in the future. Click. She opened the door to Renji's room. It was dark, but her hand found the light switch near the wall and flicked it on. The room was plain and tidy. There was a bed in the center, a desk by the window, and a very slim laptop on the desk. The only eye-catching thing was the large LCD screen near the bed, with a pile of games and console controllers underneath. Rinji usually played games with Ishigami sitting on that bed. Doesn't seem like the type who hides dirty magazines under his bed. Hayasaka muttered to herself as she scanned the room. Like many otakus, Rinji had a cabinet with all kinds of models. Some from tokusatsu series, others were mechas from various robot anime. There weren't any anime girl figures, though. I see. Hayasaka pulled a small notebook from her pocket and jotted something down with a pen. He's a Gundam guy. After putting the notebook away, Hayasaka walked over to Rinji's bed. This is where Rinji usually sleeps? No doubt about it. She stared at the bed for a moment, then fell back onto it and buried her face into the pillow. Chapter 350, Don't look it up on the wiki. With her face still buried in the pillow, Hayasaka took a deep breath, lying still on the bed. After a long moment, she sat up and looked around the rest of Rinji's room. Walking over to the desk, Hayasaka was tempted to open the laptop in front of her, curious about what might be inside, but decided against it, realizing it would be an invasion of privacy. Just as she sat down at the desk, a magazine fell off the edge as she pulled out the chair. Curious, I picked up the magazine. It was a military magazine from 4 years ago, used internally by EU. The E logo in the bottom right corner of the cover made that clear. She vaguely knew Rinji had some connection to EU, though the exact relationship was unclear. She flipped it open at random. In the middle section, there was a feature introducing an aircraft carrier that had been in service for over a decade. The magazine detailed some basic specs of the ship. Notably, someone had circled part of the ship with a marker and written in English, "Buy it," followed by 3 years. Rinji had indeed planned to buy the ship within 3 years. In the illustration, 2 stick figures holding hands were drawn at the bow of the ship. One with a smiling face, the other with a side ponytail. I could guess the meaning. It was a doodle Rinji had drawn 4 years ago, picturing them traveling together on a ship. Though touring around on an aircraft carrier made no sense, it was a whimsical idea. Normal for a kid in elementary school back then. Travel the seas together, huh? Not bad. She smiled, brushing her hand over the sketch Rinji had made in the magazine. Russell. As she flipped the page, several photographs fell out. Quickly picking them up, she glanced through them. The first photo was a group shot on a coastline. Everyone in the picture was fully armed and smiling at the camera. The shortest person in the center was Rinji, the youngest among them. The photo was dated 4 years ago. The second photo was also a group picture at the same location, but now everyone's faces were smudged with dirt, their smiles more strained. A few people from the first photo were missing. The third photo had even fewer people. The fourth, even less. In the last photo, only Rinji and 2 soldiers remained. None of them smiled. Only a chilling aura remained, visible even through the photo. The time gap between photos was 1 year and 2 months. So this is what your life was like after leaving Japan. Did you leave? Because of me? Her hands trembled as she held the photos. Rinji hummed a tune, carrying snacks he'd just bought from the convenience store as he returned home. He unlocked the door with his key and entered, only to see Hayasaka sitting blankly in the living room chair. Hayasaka, I bought the snacks. Ah, thank you. He set the bag down on the table and handed her the canned coffee she'd requested, then took out some cookies. So, what are you doing just sitting in the living room? Want to watch TV? The remote's there. No need. I was just checking out how the place is arranged, planning how to work tomorrow. Even if the house is a mess, I can clean it all in 2 or 3 hours. Rinji smiled as he opened a can of cola. Besides, I normally clean, so there's not much work to do tomorrow. There are always things a maid needs to do. Hayasaka gave a mischievous smile. Or do you need me to sleep with you too? Don't joke like that. Is that really part of a maid's job? It is. Put the phone down. I know you were about to check Wikipedia. I was joking. You scared me. Rinji put his phone back in his pocket. Hayasaka sipped her coffee, her gaze fixed on his face. She rarely said it, but she knew Rinji hadn't had an easy life outside Japan. And it was because of her. It's already 8 p.m. Rinji said after glancing at the clock. Hayasaka, what would you usually be doing at this hour? Working. Cleaning dishes or serving guests. As maids, we're not allowed in front of guests unless summoned, so usually, we eat after Kaguya-sama finishes her meal, back in the kitchen. Sometimes, when there are guests visiting the Shinomiya family in Tokyo, Kaguya-sama handles the reception. That means more dishes. Evenings are busier than mornings. And after that? Wrapping up. If guests are around, we also prepare parting gifts. Then? Chatting with Kaguya-sama. What time do you normally finish work? 11:30 p.m. I see. I wake up at 5:00 a.m. Isn't that against labor laws? You're only 17. That's just how it's set. Rinji paused, setting his cola aside and looking at her. Hey. Why not just quit? I've thought about it, but at least for now. Buzz. Just then, Hayasaka's phone rang. When she saw the caller ID, her expression faltered for a moment, but she still answered. Hello? Hey, Hayasaka. Heard you were sick today? A man's voice came through. Yes. Can you show me a doctor's note? There was no such note. It was like Kaguya had told to get her a day off. What's wrong? If you were really sick, the hospital would have given you a diagnosis. I even know what you supposedly have. Just as she steadied herself to reply, Rinji stood up, grabbed her phone, and put it to his ear. Hello? Are you a relative of Hayasaka? I'm her classmate. I'm with her at the hospital right now. She's not feeling well enough to talk. Is there something you need me to pass on? The other end of the call went silent. Hello? Are you there? May I ask who you are to Hayasaka? I'm her uncle. Oh, her uncle. Rinji chuckled. Please don't worry. Hayasaka is doing just fine. Ah, that's good to hear. Oh, right, Uncle Hayasaka. One more thing. Go ahead. If you dare lie to me again, I'll rip your throat out and stuff it full of shit. I'll ask one more time. Who the hell are you? Chapter 351, 8 == D. I'm asking again. Who the hell are you? A pause, then the voice on the line answered in a low tone, Mr. Takuman, so you've already figured it out? I'm the one asking questions here, dipshit. Rinji replied coldly. Did you really think I wouldn't come to Kyoto? Mr. Takuman, I'm Shinomiya Oko. Well, the bald master of the Shinomiya family. Rinji laughed. Didn't expect you to call Hayasaka's phone. That's a bit surprising. Oko didn't know how to respond. In front of Rinji, even one misstep could be fatal. 4 years ago, the Shinomiya group had already classified Rinji as their most dangerous threat. This antisocial lunatic handled everything in the most extreme way, completely unconcerned with consequences. After the attack 4 years ago, the Shinomiya family had investigated thoroughly. They found that before making his move, Rinji had already coordinated with the Japanese government and the Dainapon Bank, ensuring others could take over his assets once he withdrew. Behind him was the global powerhouse known as I. After Rinji left Japan, their businesses in Southeast Asia were repeatedly attacked and forced to withdraw. They had no choice but to suspect his true identity. They'd speculated he might be the grandson of an elder or the son of a regional director, but if that were all, he wouldn't have intervened so directly. At the time, he was still in transition and wouldn't likely antagonize a group like the Shinomiya conglomerate. Eventually, they came to the conclusion they least wanted to face. Rinji was very likely the son of I's founder. Only someone of that status could make I act without concern for profit and target the Shinomiya family. Hey, say something. Rinji sneered. Mind explaining why you called Hayasaka's phone? This. If you dare say it's a family matter, remember this. I'm your damn grandfather. That makes it a family matter for me too. Rinji said, of course, I'm not threatening you. But if you ever find yourself stuffed in cement and tossed into Tokyo Bay, just remember today. The Hayasaka family has served the Shinomiya family for generations. Some members of the Hayasaka family are loyal to my faction. Said Oko. Hayasaka was sent to my sister's side when she was very young to keep an eye on her. Oh. So this is just internal conflict within the Shinomiya family. That's correct. I recall telling your main house some time ago that no one was to be sent to Tokyo. Bald Master Shinomiya, you're from the main house, right? Arranging for someone to be in Tokyo, and at such an academy where I study. Don't you think that's a bit inappropriate? Oko didn't know how to respond. Hayasaka had been planted as a spy next to Shinomiya Kaguya 10 years ago. Long before Rinji even appeared on the scene. As for her being at Shuchin, that was simply because Kaguya was there, not because he had ordered it. Then. How about I recall Hayasaka? No need. Just leave her here. That. Oko hesitated. Hayasaka had gathered a significant amount of intel during her time as a mole next to Kaguya. If that information fell into the hands of other Shinomiya factions or Rinji, the consequences would be disastrous. You're refusing? This issue is a bit complicated. Are you getting an attitude? He realized it was nearly impossible to communicate normally with Rinji. No attitude. Really? You sure? If you've got something to say it. I'm easy to talk to. Like how you are. He was sure that if he said even one wrong word, Rinji would launch a missile straight at the main house. After all, this was Rinji. Taking lives was as casual to him as sipping tea. Let Hayasaka stay in Tokyo then. Now that she's been exposed, she's useless to us anyway. Mr. Takuman, you may handle her however you like. Good. Gotta say, Bald Master Shinomiya, you've got more sense than your idiot father. I'm starting to see you in a better light. I'll let you and your dad be equals. Both my dog sons. Just call me dad. Is that supposed to be a compliment? But now wasn't the time to offend this madman. In that case, Mr. Takaman, you. Dad, I'll be taking my leave. Take care. Beep. The call ended. Rinji handed the phone back to Hayasaka. Looks like you knew everything already. Yeah. Didn't expect you to catch me out like that. Hayasaka said with a weak smile. Rinji didn't say much else. I've always been a coward. Hayasaka stared at her phone, smiling bitterly. Whether it was 4 years ago, or when I first came to Kaguya-sama's side, I've always been a coward. That's never changed. Part of the Hayasaka family had sided with Shinomiya Oko's faction. As the eldest son of Shinomiya Ganon and heir apparent to the Shinomiya family, Oko had been entrusted with great expectations. Naturally, Hayasaka had obeyed him from a young age and was planted at Kaguya's side to monitor her every move. Every day, I had to report every detail about Kaguya-sama to the main house. This continued up until today. Whenever she recalled how Kaguya truly cared for her, even discussing her romantic troubles with her, the guilt would tighten around Hayasaka like a venomous snake. Kaguya had sincerely treated her like family, yet she... It's over. Rinji said. You must have suffered, being forced to keep betraying Shinomiya. He walked over to Hayasaka and placed a hand on her trembling shoulder. But it's all over now. Don't do things you hate anymore. Yeah. It's over. Years of pressure and guilt surged through her all at once. Hayasaka couldn't hold back her tears anymore. She suddenly stood up, threw her arms around Rinji, and cried softly into his chest. Go ahead and cry. Rinji smiled gently and patted the back of her head. It's all in the past now. Let's bury this in the darkness forever. When you go back, just keep working for Shinomiya. I believe she'll. No. Her tears seemed to have run dry. Hayasaka looked up at Rinji's face, just inches away. I've probably been fired by the main house. That. I have nowhere else to go now. Want me to call them and get them to reverse it? Chapter 352, Go back and work for a while longer. At the Shinomiya family's main estate in Kyoto, a group of middle-aged men in suits sat inside a traditional Japanese-style room. Leading them was a bald man with a cold gaze. Hayasaka's been exposed by Takaman Rinji. A decade undercover, and not even Kaguya noticed. But Rinji, an outsider, saw right through her. Could Hayasaka be a traitor? Impossible. Then how did Rinji figure it out? Had he known for years? We should investigate the main house. It's possible someone inside has ties to Rinji. That's even more unlikely. If someone had been planted here, they wouldn't suddenly be exposed like this. It must have just been discovered. The suited men spoke back and forth, but the bald man in the center remained silent, his expression dark. This was Shinomiya Oko, the eldest son of Shinomiya Ganon, and the one most likely to inherit leadership of the Shinomiya family. After a pause, he spoke. Gentlemen, regardless of whether this counts as betrayal, Hayasaka can no longer feed us intel. And Rinji is watching us closely now. Will he move against us right away? I don't think so, said Shinomiya Oko. Based on his actions 4 years ago, Takaman Rinji is ruthless and insane, but not reckless. He'll wait until he finds a replacement company or institution to take over our assets before making a move. 4 years ago, Rinji had destroyed a number of Shinomiya businesses, resulting in heavy casualties. Yet those assets were swiftly scooped up. Undoubtedly arranged by Rinji. Many parties want to take down the Shinomiya family, even elements within the government. Oko said. The only reason Rinji hasn't acted is because we hold a near monopoly over Japan's key industries. Replacing us isn't so easy. So, we're safe for now. Not necessarily. There's still one way to break the Shinomiya monopoly over Japan's economy. Everyone fell silent at Oko's next words. The remaining option was to wage war. It wasn't far-fetched. Though he had shifted its business model, its main assets were still advanced weaponry. In other words, he could start a war anytime. Don't forget how they became so powerful. How many countries have collapsed because of you? So, Rinji may already be considering that route? Not necessarily. He may have backed down back then because someone higher up stopped him. Oko said. Probably because he has businesses in Japan too, and direct confrontation wouldn't benefit him either. Then what do we do now? At present, we know too little about Rinji. One of the men said. If we could send someone to Tokyo to investigate. But Rinji had already warned them, anyone from the main house stepping into Tokyo would be seen as a provocation. That cut off a major intelligence channel and forced them to abandon much of their Tokyo holdings. A huge loss for the Shinomiya conglomerate. Don't try to go head-to-head with Rinji. He can't be judged by normal logic. If we go about things the usual way, we'll pay dearly. Should we bring Kaguya back to the main estate, at least to keep her under watch? Absolutely not. Rinji knows Hayasaka, so he surely knows Kaguya too. Taking action without his approval is asking for trouble. The men resumed their debate, and Oko's expression grew darker. Rinji had always been a major threat to the Shinomiya family. But he wasn't the only one Oko had to worry about. Externally, the rival Shijo family was expanding overseas and could strike at any time. Internally, he had to guard against his two younger brothers vying for the family headship. Internal strife and external threats. That was Shinomiya Oko's reality. For now, forget Rinji, but keep tabs on Kaguya. Oko said. What he feared most was if his nominal sister had a relationship with Rinji. Then she'd become another competitor for the family headship. Ordinarily, he wouldn't care. But if Rinji got involved, he'd have to take it seriously. But our people are banned from Tokyo. Someone said. The last man we sent came back as a charred corpse. This time, there's still one person left. Said Oko. Huh? Hayasaka's mother. Nao Hayasaka. Eh? She was scheduled to go to Tokyo next month anyway. She's the perfect choice to gather intel. Judging from today's call, she and I seem close. She's our safest option. That could work. Rinji sat at the dining table, mind in chaos. He hadn't expected that his actions would get Hayasaka fired from the top. Once a professional maid for the Shinomiya family, she was now a free agent. Though realistically, she was at an age where being a student should have been enough. He'd offered to call Shinomiya Oko and have the dismissal reversed, but Hayasaka refused. In her words, now that she was free, she didn't want to be dragged back into that toxic world. So what now? Should I rehire her myself? Rinji muttered, deep in thought. It was his impulsiveness that got her fired. She might be free now, but she'd also lost her income. Yeah. I should rehire Hayasaka. From the bathroom behind him came the sound of running water. While Rinji was brooding, Hayasaka had gone off to shower with a noticeably lighter heart. Click. The bathroom door opened. Hayasaka stepped out with damp hair, wrapped in a towel. Rinji, where's the hairdryer? Third drawer down on the left side of the counter when you enter the bathroom. Oh, and by the way, Hayasaka, I've made a decision. To compensate for your dismissal, I'm planning to hire you directly. Eh? Hayasaka was momentarily stunned, but soon smiled. Okay. So what's my job? Your exclusive personal maid? No. Didn't you say you're still worried about Shinomiya? So I'll cover the expenses and send you back to work with her for a while. Chapter 353, Love Progress at 6:30 a.m., Hayasaka opened her eyes. Normally, her biological clock would wake her around 5 a.m., but perhaps because she had finally vented all the pressure and grievance she had bottled up for years last night, she managed to get a rare full 8 hours of sleep. As for her time being Rinji's maid, it lasted only 1 day and 1 night. That meant she still had to act as his maid for the entire day. And so, her first job as a maid was naturally to wake her master and prepare breakfast. Hayasaka knew her way around cooking well enough. Making breakfast was no issue. She put on the maid outfit laid out beside the bed and got up to leave the room. Just as she was about to wash up in the bathroom, she opened her bedroom door and heard the sound of cooking from the kitchen. Sizzle sizzle. Along with the mouth-watering aroma of food. Hayasaka, you're awake? Rinji poked his head out of the kitchen, wearing an apron, a frying pan in hand with eggs sizzling in it. Go wash up first. Breakfast will be ready soon. Okay. Watching him return to the kitchen, Hayasaka let out a small sigh. By rights, a maid's job was to serve her master. But judging by yesterday evening and this morning, working for Rinji was clearly going to end up with her being the one taken care of. Was she even a maid anymore if the master was the one taking care of her? After brushing her teeth and washing up, she put on her contact lenses and came back out to find breakfast already set on the table. During breakfast, Rinji turned on the TV to check the morning news or catch a drama. Hayasaka quietly ate while watching TV with him. Back when she worked for Kaguya, as a servant she wasn't allowed to dine at the same table as her master. She had to eat quickly in a corner. But here, things were shockingly casual. Even though Rinji had a status and background far beyond Kaguya's, he never once flaunted himself as nobility or some highborn elite. Rinji, are you really planning to send me back to work with Kaguya-sama? Yeah, I'm not thrilled about it, but it's your own wish, right? Rinji replied while eating. You said you still worry about her. Only by staying by her side will you feel at ease, right? What if one day I stop worrying about her? Then it's up to you. You're a free person now. Can I come work for you? Of course. Rinji nodded. Though. What would make you finally stop worrying about Shinomiya? When she turns 18. Starts college? That's too far away, Hayasaka thought. She replied, probably when her relationship with President Shirogane finally progresses. The bread in Rinji's mouth suddenly stopped moving. That was exactly the issue he was struggling with. Despite all the help he'd given Shirogane, there hadn't been any visible progress between him and Kaguya. If anything, they seemed stuck in place. Just to ask. How does Shinomiya see the president? She's head over heels for him, and the president feels the same? Of course. He adores her. Seems like we'll have to intervene a little. You dragged me out this early. What's going on? Inside a family restaurant, Kaguya sat dressed in casual clothes, sipping a drink with a blank expression. She glared at the two across from her. Rinji and Hayasaka. Also in plain attire. She'd rushed out thinking something serious had happened, only to find this. Well, Shinomiya, there's something I have to tell you. Speak. Last night. Well. I may have said something reckless to your family and then I got fired. Hayasaka finished bluntly. Eh? Kaguya's expression instantly shifted. She looked back and forth between Hayasaka and Rinji, her disbelief evident. Their expressions didn't lie. Why would you get fired? I never heard anything about this. Of course she hadn't. Shinomiya Oko probably wanted to keep it quiet. If word got out that Hayasaka was dismissed, other factions would try to dig for dirt. Especially since she knew too much about the Shinomiya family. With no family agents allowed in Tokyo, losing her would be a big blow. So. That means. Kaguya's eyes turned teary. Hayasaka won't be by my side anymore. Rinji, not exactly. Hayasaka, seems like it. Unforgivable. Kaguya slammed the table, drawing attention from other diners. Rinji. You stole the president from me, and now you're trying to take Hayasaka too? Don't just make stuff up. When did I ever steal the president? Rinji rubbed his temples, annoyed. And I never said Hayasaka wouldn't work for you again. Eh? Kaguya blinked in surprise. Since Hayasaka's still worried about you, I've decided to fund her continued service at your place. What do you say, Shinomiya? Thank goodness. Tears finally fell from her eyes, but now they were tears of joy. She truly cared about Hayasaka. Losing her felt devastating, but having her back brought immense relief. Oh, and one more thing. Yes, Renji-kun? Kaguya's tone had become noticeably softer. Then I'll ask. When exactly are you and the president becoming a couple? Eh? As in? When will you two start dating? Dating? Kaguya's face turned red in an instant. Looking around nervously, she stammered, we're not dating or anything, Renji-kun, you really love to joke. The president and I, we just. Here we go again. Kaguya-sama's usual brand of foolishness. Rinji and Hayasaka exchanged the kind of look usually reserved for dealing with the mentally challenged. Chapter 354, Marketing Strategy to Save Myself Time. Let's be clear here, Shinomiya. Rinji took a sip of his drink and stared directly at her. You like the president, don't you? Rinji-kun, stop joking around. After a short fluster, Kaguya composed herself and reverted to her usual lofty persona. You understand my position. As the eldest daughter of the Shinomiya family, everything I do reflects on our name. There's no way I could develop something with a commoner.